I welcome you guys back into my next course over here, and this course is about how to regret nothing. I need you to understand, when you're regretting nothing in life, you'll always be reading. You'll always be doing something of quality. You'll always be doing something that's assertive, and assertive is confidence. So anything to do with confidence work today, which is sobriety and veganism, and also anything to do with nice persuasion techniques, that's going to help you to become better. I promise you, anything to do with life coaching and managing yourself, and also looking inside and making sure you're spiritual, and making sure that you're a person giving some ideas that's going to help somebody else to live your life much better. I promise you that's the way to go. I promise you that's also a way where you can regret nothing, because when you're looking inside, you're also a person who's doing much better than yesterday, and you understand that to be better than yesterday, I promise you that's the best way to regret nothing, because you're a person who's doing better. You're a person who's doing something for nothing, and when you're doing nothing for something, you're a person who's worse than yesterday. And you should understand that in order for you to improve your life, you need to improve all aspects of your life, and that's called balance. You need to improve one area of your life, and then that means that each and every single other area is going to also improve, because that's called balance. Do you understand? So to be a more balanced person is to improve one area, and then you understand that each and every other area will improve. I promise you, each and every time you shift into a positive way, and you have a positive habit in your life, you'll be a positive and a rich person much more. So be a person who understands rich habits, and go and read the books about habits, and then you understand to become more aware. And then I realize that once you're more aware, you'll be a person who regrets nothing. You'll be a person who understands that ego is something that you must conquer. You must realize you must get above your ego. And then once you realize that you have an ego, you realize that you are not the ego. You realize that you are something more than your mind. You realize that the ego is your mind, although you understand that you are something behind the ego, which is you are the observer of your mind. You are something that's observing your ego. So you have to become more aware in terms of self-awareness. And in order to do that, you have to write more. And then once you're writing more, you'll be a person who's overcoming the ego. And then once you're doing that, you'll regret nothing. You'll be a person who's never regretting. You'll be a person who's never regretting anything. In a sense, you understand that those people who have too much pleasures in life are the ones regretting it. I realize that once they have sex with someone, I realize that they're weak. I realize they're like a weak person. And I promise you, they've got nothing to give you anymore. I realize they've got no ounce of fluid in them. And I realize they've got nothing in terms of life that they need to give you. I realize they're weak. I realize their weakness. I realize sex is a weakness. You have to understand that you stay away from sex, because pleasure is a weakness. You have to understand when you're having sex, I promise you it feels good, although you understand that it's a weakness. You understand that the more sex you have, I promise you the more you die. You understand? Because you understand that those people who have more sex in life are going to live a more immature life, and are going to live shorter. You understand? Because you understand that when you look at people who died early in life, I promise you they are the ones who did more pleasure. You can see, for example, Avicii, who also drank a lot of alcohol, and alcohol is another term where you regret life, because you're regretting yourself and who you are, because you're intoxicating yourself. Although Avicii has very beautiful music, I respect the guy. I realize that he had habits, and the habit is a destructive one. You have to understand it's one that is deadly, and alcohol is a deadly drug. You have to understand that all drugs are deadly when you do more of it. I don't care what drug it is. You have to understand you stay away from drugs and you never regret your life. I realize that you never regret anything, and that way you understand you have to learn more about your drugs. You have to learn more about everything in terms of the world. You have to understand you may be a person who has no drugs, although you go and learn about all the drugs in the world. You have to understand I never have drugs, I never do drugs, although you understand that because I don't do drugs, I'm a person who's never regretting life, because I'm a person who has passion. And when you have passion, you'll never regret life. In the sense, so be a person who understands that just because you have a passion doesn't mean you're doing worse than yesterday. I realize that everybody can say they have a passion in life, although how good are you today in that passion? Are you teaching it today? Are you successful with it? Are you successful with your passion? Are you traveling the world for free? I realize that when you travel the world, I realize it costs nothing to travel the world. I realize it's just freedom. I realize that money can never limit you. In a sense, so never make money a limit. In a sense, I never need you to set goals with money. I need you to understand that the goal here that we need to achieve is be better than yesterday. I mean, learn some skills to grow, because that's more money in the world. In a sense, I promise you that's more when you're more mature, because money will never make you more mature. I promise you money will never help you lose weight. I promise you money and circumcision and operations to lose your weight will never help solve the problem. Understand? Because you've never fixed anything, even though you look skinnier because you had an operation and you took off 50 kilos with the operation. I promise you that it took your money away, and also realize, or you will realize that it's never the way to go. I never need you to go and cut out your intestine to eat less. I need you to realize it's never about that either. I've had a woman before where she came up to me and said all that, although you understand that is negative. You have to understand that I'm not negative, I'm not a negative person, although you understand that when you're a person who does that, you're a person who never solves a problem. I need you to understand it's never about cutting your intestine so you can eat only this much food so you never get fat, because that's never the way to go, because all you have to do is just learn about nutrition and dedicate yourself into knowledge. I realize that those people who are old are the ones who chose to be old. You have to understand that Brian Tracy says that being rich is a choice, and those people who choose to be rich are the ones who are always on the offense. You're always on the offense about being rich. You're learning what is a rich lifestyle. You're learning the negative aspect of lifestyle, you're learning the positive aspect of lifestyle, and then you'll become a researcher. And then when you become a researcher, you're a scientist. And when you're a scientist, you can start now, and you don't need a certificate to life coach. You don't need any certificates today. I realize that when they sell you certificates or anything that says you must have a certificate to do this, I realize they're trying to limit you. You understand? So never be that type of person who is limited by the outside world and what they say. I realize that you break rules and you make sure you just follow Jesus' rules. You follow the 10 Commandments, because thou shalt not kill. Do you understand? I promise you, if you don't follow Jesus' rules, you'll kill someone. You understand? So never do that, please. You have to understand that you be a person who understands that to regret nothing is to never ever kill anybody and never ever cause violence, because once you cause violence, you regret it. I promise you. I promise you regret something negative because you have to stay away from it. You understand? So that way you never regret it. You never regret anything that's positive. You go stay away from negativity, and that way you never ever regret it. You understand that anything that's got to do with alcohol and drugs and never increasing your skills, and also negativity, is going to worsen you in life. You have to be a person who understands that you have to sometimes go into emotions and speak from the emotions in order to never regret anything, because sometimes your mind can limit you and your mind can overlap in terms of knowledge, although you have to understand that when your mind overlaps with knowledge, you have to realize that you have to go and come back into the moment, and you have to be inside. And to be inside, you can just switch from the mind and mentality into the body and the physical aspects. And then you go into the physical aspects of life, and then you push your emotions to talk, and that way you understand that when your mind is getting dozy, or realize when your mind's getting dozy and less energetic, and you cannot think, you have to understand you never think about anything, although you understand that those people who think more are the ones who regret more. You understand? So I never think about anything I say. I just say it, and when I cannot say it, I make sure I can say it. I make sure that I'll say it eventually. I'll say it one way or another. I'll write it into a book. I'll write it into a journal. I'll write the word down. I mean, I never have to be on video to coach you. I can be in a journal to coach you. I can coach you in a quote. I can coach you in a caption inside my Instagram. I can coach you in my audio program. I realize that when the lights are off and everybody's quiet around me and I have to be quiet, I just write in a journal then. I realize that nothing's going to stop me to give you some content. So make sure you're writing and doing audio work and video work. Understand? You have to realize that life is only on your side when you are bettering yourself. So realize that when you're seeking pleasure and something is draining your money, you have to understand, you stay away from it. I realize that sex can drain your money away. I realize that each and every time you have sex, you will regret it if you're not in marriage first. You understand? You will regret sex all the time. I don't care how beautiful your woman is. I don't care about how beautiful your guy is. I understand that you guys will regret it. I promise you, it's nothing special. I promise you, sex is nothing special. Do you understand? I promise you, it's pleasure. I promise you that Jesus will say so. I promise you, Jesus will say, sex is nothing. I promise you, sex is something ridiculous in this world. Although you understand it's important, although it's very destructive. I promise you, those people who have more sex in life are the people who are less successful. You understand? I promise you, they are less successful in life because they're having more sex. You understand? So realize you never have sex because you can see Jesus. You can see Jesus never had sex. You'll understand why Jesus is so successful, because whatever delays gratification is also going to delay that marshmallow, and that way you'll be the baby who is more successful because you delayed gratification. You have to understand, you'll be the person who has sex only when you're having a kid, and that's it. I promise you, it just takes one time to have a kid, and that's it. I promise you, those people who try over and over and over again to have a kid, I promise you, those people are just fooling around. I realize they're not having a kid. You understand? I realize they're just doing pleasure in life. You have to understand, you go and be a person who's never doing pleasure in life, and then that way you understand you'll never regret anything. You'll never regret your choices. You'll never regret who you are. You'll never regret the person you are, because you're a person who is more than regret. You'll be a person you'll be a person who never has a deathbed. You never have a deathbed. I mean, I never need you to imagine a deathbed in life. I need you to understand that there is no such thing as deathbed, because you're going to understand that you're just going into the afterworld. You're going into Jesus' hands. You understand? You have to realize you have to believe in something greater than yourself. You have to realize you have to have more high hopes to make sure that no matter what, you can grow yourself. You have to realize when you're growing yourself, you'll never regret it. You'll never regret anything. You'll never regret your skills. You'll never regret the person you are. You realize that each and every time I get on the street, I never regret it. Why? Because you can see why. You can see why I don't regret it, because each and every time I'm better. I can feel greater. I feel so strong today. I feel so much stronger. I feel 9 times stronger today than I did on day 1, because today is day 9. I feel 9 times stronger today than I did when I started. I realize that when Jim Rohn says, you would understand that he said it never gets easier, I realize it never gets easier, although you just get stronger. As he says, you understand that Jim Rohn says you just get stronger over time. And the reason is because you're increasing your skills and capability, which is your capacity, and which is your potential, and which is your ability, and which is your talent. And understand, you go and connect every single word in a dictionary, and you put it into a video, you then realize you're worth it. You're worth it, and that way you understand that worthiness comes from the inside. Promise you, nobody's going to say that you look good. Promise you, nobody's going to say that you taught them something. Promise you, although, you go and realize that when you're teaching people, you're teaching yourself the most. You're not teaching them. You're not doing it for them. You're not doing it for attention. I don't care about the attention anymore. I realize that I've been here for 9 days. I realize that 2 people followed me in 9 days. Do you understand? I realize, although I've got some results, I've got some results over here. I realize that I grew in that 9 days. I became stronger. I realize that they can never see that. I realize they laugh at me. I realize that tens of thousands of people have walked past my post over here, and 2 people have followed me in 27 hours of promoting my poster. I realize that is only in Brisbane. I realize that's only in Brisbane, although it goes for all of life. You understand? So realize no matter what, you still keep going, because it's never about the attention anymore. I realize it's never about the fame anymore. I realize now it's freedom. I realize it's always for freedom. I realize that my path ahead is full of freedom. I realize I'll go where the free path is. I realize I'll go the freeway. You understand? I realize, how am I going to get around the world? I realize I get around the world for free. I get around the world for free. I realize I just grow and grow and grow, and you'll find out that you just take it one step at a time, and you're never a person who thinks. You're just a person who does what you need to do to make sure you're growing. You understand? You plan for the next 73 years, and that way you can see your next 73 years and how you're going to live life. You understand? You never regret your life when you're planning ahead. You never regret your life when you're a person who's doing better than yesterday. That's what I'm saying. I take it one day at a time. I realize that I can see 3 months ahead. I realize I've got 3 months of rent already. I've got 3 months of rent to live. I realize no matter what, I'm a person who can live now for the next 3 months for free. You understand? So be a person who understands you go do better than yesterday. You understand? You calculate everything that you have, and you make sure that you always put in your financial calendar whatever you need. I realize that I calculated that for the next 3 months I can live for free. Although that's 3 months. I mean, that's a number. I realize I have to go write that down inside my phone, because I have a nice, beautiful financial calendar where I got a number which is 3 months I can live for free. Although you understand that's a beautiful number, and guess what? You go and live for free all the time. I realize when you receive money, you receive it for free. You do something for free. You're never working for the money. Do you understand? I'm rich or better. I'm always a person doing something for nothing. I'm always a person doing these street performances, because guess what? It's about my growth today. And how am I growing today? Because it's about my communication skills. And when I boost my communication skills, I promise you, I'm always going to do better. I promise you, no matter what, that nobody else can fool me about how inspirational I am, because I see it. I see how inspirational I am. I realize that those people who never believe in how good I am, I realize that they'll never be even good. In a sense, so realize you go and do something even better, because it's really about how are you lifting today. I mean, how are you lifting today, and how are you going to do better? I have to understand that when I practice for 9 days, I realize that what's coming up in 20 years' time, I realize that I'll be 47, although you understand that because I have 20 years to be on the street and do this, I realize that I'll learn far more, and I'll give you far more content. So you're a winner today. I'm a winner today. So guess what? That's why I'm here, always showing up in front of a crowd, so I can always practice and practice and practice, and so that I can backhand the tennis balls and make sure no matter what, I'm always doing better than yesterday. And that way I'll never regret it. I'll never regret a day in my life again. In a sense, because I'm always learning, I'm always in integrity, I'm always making sure I'm doing better than yesterday in some aspect of my life. I'm always making sure that in my day, I explain each and every story that I can in terms of what happened, in terms of my growth only. I realize when I ask what happened, I ask what happened in terms of growth. I have to ask the question, what grew you in that moment? I mean, what did you learn from that? Do you understand? I realize that when you learn nothing from it, why are you watching it? I mean, when you learn nothing, I mean, why are you around that place? I mean, why are you going there? I mean, you go around something. Thank you very much. I realize when you're a person who understands growth, you'll be a person to go somewhere where it's going to teach you something. I realize that the somewhere is this moment right now. You come here, you learn something right now. I mean, I have all the time in the world. I have all the time in the world to give you this video, and I have all the time in the world to run. I realize I have all the time in the world to understand more and more throughout life, because life is a journey. And those people who enjoy the process the more, I realize that those people who enjoy the process even more, and the more they do, you understand they love life. You understand that those people who enjoy the process more are enjoying life more than everybody else. And that's the whole point of life, because they're learning and growing throughout the process. I realize that most people will travel the world and they'll drink alcohol and do drugs while they're doing it. I mean, that's the worst way to do it. I realize the best way to do it is go and travel the world and make sure that you're journaling and growing with entrepreneurs while you're doing it. I realize the whole point of an entrepreneur is to travel while you're growing. You have to understand, that way you'll never regret traveling. I realize that something can happen on the road in terms of traveling and they can steal your bag. And your bag has a passport in it, and also your identification, and 1,000 or 10,000 bucks in it, and your laptop and all your technology. And what are you going to do in a foreign country? I mean, when they steal your bag. I mean, take care of your stuff, please, and make sure no matter what, when you're going around the swimming pool, I realize that I had my stuff stolen, although I'm not a victim, you understand? I'm rich or better, and that way you understand I'm always a person who understands now to have a locker and put my stuff in a locker no matter what. I realize that when I need to get some change or have to go to the bank that's 20 minutes away or whatever, I'll make sure to always have what I need to make sure I can get that locker and put all my stuff in there so nobody can steal my stuff. Understand? Because they'll take your whole bag. I realize that they'll never open your bag to look at what's inside. I realize they'll take your whole bag. Do you understand? I realize they'll just swipe it, 1 second, the bag's gone. I realize, you understand? You watch out for your bag because they can steal it easily. I realize they can steal your bag easily. You understand? You just be careful. You be that type of person who understands. You never turn your back on your stuff when you're in a swimming pool. I never turn back. I never turn my back on anything I do in life. I never turn my back on my stuff. I realize that no matter what, I even have to watch my communication, because sometimes when you're speaking, you have to understand that you have to correlate in a better way. And the better way is communication skills in a better way. I'm rich or better. I realize that each and every time I'm never losing anything, because I'm always aware of my stuff, and I'm more than my stuff. I'm always aware of I am more than everything. I realize that each and every time that somebody's trying to destruct you in terms of life, I mean, they're trying to break your stuff, I mean, let them break their stuff. You have to understand that stuff is stuff. I mean, let them never do anything to you, although you understand that you just allow it anyway. You have to understand it's never about violence. You have to understand that when they're trying to hit you, I mean, let them. I mean, when they try to shoot you, I mean, let them. You understand? Because if you deny it, I promise you that's never the way to go either. I promise you that you never be scared of life, and you never fear life either. Because when you're fearing life, you're going to regret it. And you should understand that fear is a lie. I promise you there's a quote going around that fear is a lie, and I promise you it is. Because what fear is the ego mind. And the ego is fear, and the ego is fake. I realize it's a fake way to live, and most people are fake. I mean, they're mostly in the ego, and they believe they're the ego. I realize that most people are unaware of what they're doing. You have to understand that you have to understand Jesus. When they killed Jesus, I promise you, Jesus says, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. Understand? Because those people are egotistical, and they're too much gossip. I realize they're too much gossip in a negative way. And guess what? You never be that type of person who's gossiping in a negative way, because there's many people going around doing that, and there's many people from my past doing that to me. And guess what? I don't care. I'm not a victim. You have to understand, I'm a person growing, although I just said something, and guess what? I'm just growing from it. I'm always growing from what I say. I'm growing from something. I'm never growing from nothing. I'm growing where something is. I mean, when you look at Brisbane, or you look at your city or something, you ask the question, where can I go to gain something? I realize that online you can gain something. I realize that you can gain something on a street performance. You can do something on the street. I understand it's a growth opportunity. I came here for a growth opportunity. I mean, the growth opportunity is to do my 3 hours of content rather than doing it inside accommodation. I realize that there's a big difference between street performance and doing it on the street in front of people, where I can promote my Instagram to tens and thousands of people, and also have a microphone, and also be able to do my beautiful content every single day in a nice, beautiful place here in Brisbane. And guess what? It's much better than doing it indoors where nobody can see me. You have to understand, I can see myself, and I'm more important than everything, although you understand that inside, I can only see me, and the whole point is to be in front of a crowd to do some communication skills and to see how you're really doing. You have to understand it's really about progress. You have to understand it's really about doing something of high intent. How you doing? I'll be 5 minutes. Thank you very much. I realize that this guy over here is going to also do some content over here, although I understand that I'll have to do this in 5 minutes, and I realize I'll just continue this video, and no matter what, you have to understand, you be that type of person who understands that I realize that when life is hitting you down, you be the person lifting you up. You understand? You be that person who's always lifting you up in some type of way. You be that person who is worth it every single day. You be that type of person who understands that when you have some time, such as now, you understand you give 5 minutes, and guess what? You just go, because the guy also has to make sure that he can do his street performance here too. Do you understand? So make sure that you always have a compromise, and never ever be the person who's taking away from another person who loves to do it for free too. You understand? So realize that when you have people doing it for free, I realize they're your friends, because they're doing it side by side with you, and they're also joining you in a street performance to make sure that you can also live your life greater. You have to understand, that's the whole point. I realize the whole point is making sure that you have common love in a better way. You understand? And common love means communication skills. And when you have common love with people, I mean, you're just connecting with people. I realize that is what it's all about. I realize when people are talking with you, I realize they love you. You understand? I mean, when they write you a message, and no matter what they're writing to, you understand they love you. You understand that you inspire them in some kind of way, although you have to understand that your time is more important. I realize your time is more important, and most people will say hi and never ever improve you. So make sure that you go around people who are improving you more than the ones who love you, who never improve you. You understand? So you understand that your family may love you so much, although your family has no more value to give you. So why are you around them for? You understand that you call them and you give them some value, although you have to understand that each and every time you talk with them, you have to grow yourself from the conversation and just realize that there comes to a point in time where most people in life are never going to help you, and they're never going to give you some value. Although you go around the people who are the massive researchers of life, and the researchers of life are the knowledge brokers. And a knowledge broker is a new term that Tony Robbins uses. I realize no matter what, it's a new term, and you understand that you be a knowledge broker who's just always studying information, and then you grab information, you study it, you apply it, and you teach it. I promise you, that's called learning. I promise you read first, then you apply it, then you teach it. I promise you, that's the 3 communication styles today, and you have to understand no matter what, that when you're applying information, it's all about habits. So the faster you apply it, the better you are. I realize that you have to be that type of person, so be that type of person every single day, where you understand that you can even finish your video and then do it indoors for the rest of the material. Do you understand? I mean, the material in terms of information that I give. Otherwise, I can do this video now, I can do it inside for the next 33 minutes or up to an hour. Do you understand? So I realize that I'm never limiting myself up to an hour. I realize that each and every video is an hour long, because that is my duration, although it helps me the most. And it helps me in the way that I realize I never limit myself to numbers, and I'm always putting an I'm always doing something that's worth it. And to understand, you be that type of person who's never afraid, and that way I understand you never regret anything, because there's nothing to be afraid of. I promise you, Jesus was never afraid when people were trying to kill him. And understand that Jesus allowed it, and when you allow people to do stuff and to hit you and to be negative with you and to do something to you and to exert control and power over you, you allow it, I promise you, never be afraid. I promise you, no matter how much they cause you violence, you never be afraid, you just allow it. Instead, you allow them to do whatever there is, or you allow them to do whatever they're doing. You understand? I mean, there is always a way when you have a will. You have to understand, you have a will, you're living today, that means, or does that mean you have a way? Or does that you have a will because you're still walking today, you're still doing something amazing. So make sure you never regret your walk. Or does that when you walk, you also walk your talk. You understand? Because those people who never walk in their talk are looking worse than yesterday. I promise you that when you're a person teaching better than yesterday material and information, which is a commodity, You understand that material, I mean in terms of something that you can never see, is a commodity only, and something that is a material, that is something that you can never see. I promise you, although everything else is gibberish. You understand? I promise you, shoulder bag, I promise you the shoulder bag and the technology I have is all gibberish. I promise you, what's important is the message I give you today. I promise you, everything else I don't care about. Or else that everything will be stripped away from you when you're going over time. You have to understand that you're going to be leaving this world into a better world, and you're never dying. You're just going to transcend this world, and that's it. You understand that 50,000 real estates that you've accumulated, apparently, you understand that you probably are a person who's done that, although you understand that 50,000 real estates you're never going to bring up with you into the afterworld. Do you understand? So realize that when you're a person who's very sorrowful and upset about life, you're a person who also is never living in the moment. So when you're living in the moment, you also never regret it. Although you understand, guys, I'll still continue because another guy over here has to make sure that he can also continue his work, and that way I never have to get in his way. And that way, I understand I keep to my word, and you guys stay tuned. I realize, although, guys, here I am inside my accommodation now, and since I'm here, I had to leave that spot where I was in a tunnel inside Brisbane because another guy is going to play his guitar there for the next 5 hours, and I'd rather not break him up while he's playing. Although you understand that when this happens, you just make sure you continue your content and make sure to complete your 3 hours of complete your 3 hours of knowledge and material in terms of information. So you understand you do it inside your accommodation any time of the day, and just make sure you're always completing 3 hours. Although my goal today is to complete 3 hours of content in front of people, where I have to promote myself 3 hours of every single day to be on video in front of people while they're passing by in a tunnel or anywhere in life. Although you understand that since you can go into a tunnel these days, you understand there is lights, and also your nice beautiful speaker will be vibrating inside the tunnel, and it's nice and beautiful to get yourself a whiteboard and to get yourself a poster and stick it up, and you'll see some results along the way. Although the best results that I gained from street performance and also from life is that I regret nothing when I do it, although I communicate, and that's what I really bring out of myself all the time, because each and every time I do a street performance, it's really that I'm growing in the process. You understand that no matter what, that I know nothing, and that's why I'm a student of the game, because a student of the game realizes that each and every time you have something to say, you'll say it in front of people. You understand? Because you're a person who understands that when you have no microphone, you understand that you just speak in front of the camera this way, and then you understand why my life is this way now. Because no matter what, you're always going to move forward, and you're going to realize that each and every step of the way, that nothing's going to come in between you and your content that you're doing 3 hours a day either way. You have to understand that since I've been doing it on the street for the past 9 days, you understand that I got to finish 2.5 topics today in front of people, although here I am doing the next 30 minutes. So you understand that no matter what, that each and every time you become late in terms of getting on the street and doing your street performance, and you arrive 1 hour late or something like that, you have to understand that you just never beat yourself up on the head, because you deserve to finish your content either way. And it's really, who cares, because what's important is that you get out your content anyway, and guess what, just show up before you have to come there, because no matter what, just make sure you're always showing up every single day doing some content. Do you understand? So when you have a goal, make sure that you understand when you have to be at 2 p.m. inside the tunnel, because at 5 p.m. that person's going to arrive. You have to understand you be there at that time so you can finish your content in the process. Do you understand? And that way you understand that you never ever shame yourself or guilt yourself, and never be shy nor anxious, because that is all making you regret life. You have to understand that it's really that all you need in life is more information, and to teach more, and to become a better person in attitude. You have to realize that no matter what, when you're a person who's doing that, you understand that you'll never be shy, and you'll never be anxious, and you'll never be in secrecy, and you'll never be a person who is guilty. You understand? Because that way you understand you have to write down more, because those people who are around you right now are the ones making you shameful and guilty and anxiety, and that's why you have shyness, because all those people you're surrounding yourself with, because they've given you some information where they've said you are not good enough, and that's why you feel guilty and you feel shameful and you feel secretive and you feel shy and anxious, because those people around you have put bugs in your mindset to say you deserve nothing in life. I promise you deserve something. I promise you are something in life. You have to understand, you have to really get over them. You have to get over those people. I realize that when people are sick around you, you have to understand you're being your emotions and you
feel their sickness with your emotions, because your emotions is never going to catch a disease. You have to understand that when you go in the toilet, for example, you go and look at whatever's in the toilet with your emotions. You understand? Because with your emotions, you'll feel that it's never you when you see something perverted inside the toilet. You understand? Because sometimes when you understand that when you get in the toilet, you may react to what you see, like you may be affected. I never need you to be affected by people sneezing and coughing all the time. I understand you need to be in emotions, and you have to realize also that when you're going to the toilet and you see something disgusting in life, you have to be in your emotions. I promise you, all that you do is you tense up your emotions, and you realize when you realize, you're going to see that once you tense up your emotions, you're going to realize that it's never going to affect you. You understand? So what affects you is your ego, and your ego is the one saying that you are that in the toilet that somebody else put there. Although that's disgusting. Although your ego makes you feel like you are that. You understand? So be on top of your ego and be in your emotions when you go in the toilet. I also promise you that you go and be in emotions also when somebody else is sneezing and coughing and sick, because your ego is going to say that it's you doing that. You understand? So be aware of your inner critic, which is your ego. You understand? Your ego is a critic, which is your subconscious, which is your subconscious mind. You understand? You have to always better your life. You always have to do something much more greater than who you are today. You have to understand that when you go into accommodation and you're doing a video such as this, place the speaker into charge and relax, and get your microphone and put it into your bag and relax, and just be nice and fluent, and make sure that you're precise and have the communication skills going, and making sure that your people, and in terms of your fans and who's watching you today, can hear you anyway, because you don't need a microphone while there are people next door sleeping, and next door sleeping, you'll understand that either side of you there are people sleeping, so you never need to put the subwoofer and the speaker on with a microphone inside accommodation so you wake them up. Have some respect and realize that when people are sleeping and when you're inside accommodation traveling around the world, you understand that it's never about waking people up. You have to understand you be quiet because you need some respect. You have to understand when you go into an accommodation, you never put the music on with your speaker so that everybody hears. You go and put music inside your headphones, and that way you have a better effect. You're going to have a louder effect when you have headphones, and it's going to be much greater than a speaker pumping up loud while you're traumatizing everybody. You have to understand that when somebody's playing the music at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're sleeping, you understand what I mean. You have to understand that even when you're pumping up music at 3 o'clock in the daytime, probably somebody next door may be sleeping. You have to be aware to just be quiet when you're traveling inside hostels. I have a nice beautiful 1-bedroom apartment, although you understand that when you're traveling around the world, you be quiet inside accommodation. And you should be quiet, although you do your videos. You do these videos in terms of information products. I realize it's a quiet feel. I realize you don't need speakers to do this. You have to realize that you be a person who understands that each and every single day you do something that's really going to be better than yesterday. You understand you're going to do something greater, and you're going to be a greater person. I just had to pause the video so I can try out one of these microphones that I got, which is a dynamic microphone, although it's for my speaker in terms of the portable speaker that I have, where I use it in terms of these videos, and I tried to connect it via my phone technology over here, and I promise you that it didn't work. Although you understand that I recovered, and I did fail, although guess what, you can still hear my voice, and it's nice and beautiful here. I'm cozy, and the cozy word means you're just warm. You understand? So I realize that you be a person, and that you understand that to be a person you have to be better than yesterday, because around this time of day that you understand that you regret nothing about your life. You never be a person who is never given value. You have to understand that I've really developed over these past years, because what's changed? I realize my communication style has changed. I realize I'm a better person. I realize I can be in front of people now much greater, and I can be in front of people 9 times greater than ever before. I realize that each and every day I go on a street performance and I do 3 hours of content. I realize it's 3 hours of content, guys. I realize it's 3 hours of video work, and I have to sit there and talk for 3 hours, and it's really never frustrating. I love my work. I can speak for 8 hours long. I can do 8-hour videos, although I have other aspects of life that I have to get to, and I can manage to do 3-hour videos now. I understand that throughout the course of my lifetime, and even when I have a wife and kids, I'll be doing 3-hour videos. So each and every single day, you have to read for 3 hours. And you have no excuses, because guess what? I'm doing it in terms of teaching for 3 hours. I'm teaching and speaking for 3 hours, and you just have to listen. I mean, listening is the greatest aspect of life, and teaching is even greater. I promise you, although, that you understand that you be a teacher more than you listen. You have to understand that teaching is much more of listening that you need. You have to understand that eventually you have to read more and more, and then you have to understand that you have to grab the knowledge and you have to go and teach it. And then once you're teaching it, you're applying it. And then when you're a person who's applying it, you understand that you're going to be a person who's far greater than yesterday. You're going to do something far greater than yesterday. I realize that when you're going into accommodation, you go and use your emotions too while you're inside the accommodation, and you can be as loud as you can be before 10 p.m. Do you understand? Because you're just talking, and you're not pumping up the music loud like a junkie or a drug addict. Because guess what? When you pump up the music, I need you to understand, you have a rule in life. You get in accommodation, you get inside accommodation, you pump up the music only inside headphones or earphones. And you make sure that you're never disrupting other people around you, and that's the way to never regret anything. And you should understand, you need some respect on the road. You have to understand that just because your father or mother or cousins or brothers or friends, or your fake friends, you'll understand that just because they do something a certain way doesn't mean that you have to go and do it like they do. Because what the crowd does is what you never do. You have to understand, you never have to be like your friends who you grew up with, because otherwise you'll be your friends like you grew up with. And you should be your own unique person, because you never need to be them, because they accumulated poor habits. Although you have to understand, you may be a person who grew up with rich habits and around rich people, and I never need you to be around those people either. I need you to understand, you go and be a better person than that. You understand? So you be around rich people with rich habits. You understand that as you're growing up, you just be a person who's always on the richer side. I just understand that the richer side is the more healthier side. And the more healthier side that you have in terms of teaching and courses, and you're looking better and you're feeling better and you're looking much better than yesterday, you're going to feel better. I realized that the first thing I done after my street performance is I said I have to come here straight away to do my performance. I've got another 40 minutes left on my video. I mean, there's no dazing off here. I mean, there's no saying I'll do it next time. I realized, no, I come here, I have to finish my 3 hours of content, please. I've got some work to do. I realized each and every day I do some content. I realized I never failed, although I did fail on the street today by just doing 2 hours and 20 minutes of content. And that way, I understand I have to better my schedule. I have to realize that somebody else came into that spot, and I realized that it moved my schedule, and here I am now doing it inside an accommodation center. Although you understand that I didn't care, because guess what? I still completed 2 topics more inside of the crowd. Although you understand that when I'm in front of a crowd, I realize that it's practice. You practice in front of a crowd, you keep going and going and going, and eventually, today, I felt so powerful. And you will also feel powerful all the time. You'll feel powerful over time to become a better person in front of people. And the more you gain the spotlight, I promise you, the more you can be in the spotlight. I promise you, only those people who deserve to be in the spotlight are the ones who demand it. You have to demand it. And the only way to do that today is either street performance or organize a seminar somewhere where you can go and get and gather people together, where you can do your seminar speech. I realize that no matter what, I have one in Brisbane where there's the 4 pillars, and there's a Hunger Jacks, and then there is an Optus Center, and I realize there is an Asian shop, and I realize there is another shop over here, and it's a 4 corners, and in the middle is where I'll be. And guess what? Everybody's around me. I realize there's the crowd around me. I realize the crowd's around me. I realize everybody's watching me. I'm in the goal center where I'm shooting goals while they are watching me. I'm shooting those goals and I'm achieving my goals in the middle, and I'm doing something for nothing, and they are going to watch me. I have a stadium around me while I'm the person who's running the show. Do you understand? So realize you have to be the center of attention. Realize in the 4 pillars, which is the 4 corners, I get to be in the middle of that section, which is Queen Street Mall here in Brisbane. And guess what? I have to make sure I have to be here long term for that. I have to make sure no matter what, I show up every single day at a certain time and at a certain aspect of life, so I can make sure that I get the attention I deserve. Because it's never about the attention, or else it's never about them, or else it's never about the crowd, or else it's never about the followers, or else it's never about the popularity anymore, or else it's about me growing. Realize I don't really care about the spotlight. I care to grow. I'll grow with or without the spotlight. I'll grow either way. Do you understand? Because the more you grow, the more you can be in the spotlight. I promise you, those people who never learnt how to be in the spotlight never tried. I promise you, I never tried either, although I didn't. You have to understand, I had to go there. You understand? I never tried to do it, I just went and done it. I never thought about it, I just went and done it. You have to understand, you have to go and do it. You have to understand, you have to go and apply yourself to be on the street for a few days to see how it is. You have to get some results. I realize I've been there for 9 days, and guess what? I realize I get 2 followers. I didn't care, although I gained 10,000 views. I promise you, I have people watching me. I promise you, my name's far up there. I realize that people can see my name though. I realize over time, I realize when I do get popular, I realize it compilates. I realize that it compounds. I realize that my life contemplates a better way when you understand that each and every time somebody just sees your name. I realize that 20 years down the road, I realize your name's going to be, I realize your name's going to be big. I realize that person is going to realize that was you on the street. I realize now, because 20 years later, they figured out what you're doing, and you started off that way, and here you are, a massive Australian star, or you're a massive popular star in the world, or in your own country. You realize that person found you out after 20 years because they figured out your name. I realize they've seen you before, and they said, you're in Brisbane, in that tunnel. You have to understand that 20 years later, somebody from those 10,000 people who never followed me, and who viewed my profile, and who've seen my name, will see my name eventually, I promise you. So it always compound interest in your favor. You have to understand, when you're in the spotlight, I promise you people can understand who's in the spotlight today. I need to understand that people can see who's in attention, and you have to be one of those people, and you have to demand it every single day. I have to demand the spotlight all the time, so that's why I regret nothing, because I demand to be in the spotlight now. I demand it, and I never ask anybody for that. I realize that I ask, what can I do with the street performance over here, and what's the information behind it? And I realize they say it's for free, although you have to get a permit to go to certain areas where it's more populated. And guess what? No worries. Although you can start for free in your suburban areas, and you can go in the outer suburban areas where there's no permit needed, and you just be on the street and people will see you. Although you go somewhere where it's populated and you never need a permit. You understand? So you understand, in Brisbane there's a nice Queen Street Mall, and it's massive, although you understand it's part of Brisbane. And guess what? On the other side of the road, you can sit there, and guess what? People are crossing the road, and people watching you. I mean, that's more than enough for you to start. So realize, to start is just get yourself a microphone and a speaker, and guess what? You just start with a video. You get yourself a phone, and you start recording. You understand? I realize that now, since I do have a website, which is my Mega Drive. I realize it's a Mega Drive, guys, although you understand that it's a storage online, and it's more than enough for me. I promise you, I love it. I promise you, it's everything you ever need. I promise you that when you look at my storage online, you see all my videos. And I promise you, you go through my photos quickly. You open up your laptop, you can go into my content, and you can watch 20 photos at once, and you can just scroll up and you can see my life in a flash. You have to understand that when you go on a website, for example, and you're giving money to another website like Wix or something like that, or another website that is another domain, or a domain or something like that, where you have to give money for just a website and it's never even an online storage, you understand they charge even more. I mean, they charge you 100 USD or more per month, so you can have a certain criteria and certain megabyte and gigabyte structure and terabyte structure of memory in that website, and your website's going very slow. I realize that's why I regret nothing, because each and every day I have a 3-hour video. I promise you, because I have a 3-hour video, I promise you that is 7 gigabytes per hour. I realize that's 21 gigabytes for every single 3 hours of video I do. And guess what I do? I get my 3 hours of video, I then put it into a application called UCut, which is an exporting video software. And what I do is I go and get 1 hour videos, because I do 1 hour segments, and it's much easier for me to do it this way than doing 3 hours at a time. Whereas when you're doing and speaking about one subject for 3 hours, I realize it's much better to speak about 3 subjects and just keep the show rolling in 3 different subjects, which is talking about the same thing in a different criteria. Although you understand that when you're speaking about one subject, I'd rather speak about 3 subjects in 3 different hours than speak about one subject in 1 hour. Do you you understand? So I'm just that type of person who loves to go 3 hours in 3 different subjects. Although you may be that one person who loves to do sitting for 3 hours and just speaking about one subject every single day for 3 hours. I mean, I love to make up 3 subjects about different topics, and I still complete the 3 hours. Do you understand? So you can be that type of person, or you can be the other type of person. I realize I just go the 3 different topics because it's nice and easy for me to realize I can switch now topics, and I love to speak about something different. You understand that when I talk about how to sell in one video, which is course 100, I may talk about how to sell again in course 1000. Do you understand? So it's just a nice way for me to continue life in a different way. I realize I like a variety of topics to talk about. I don't like just one topic. I realize that I love life. I mean, life is a topic. I realize that life is one topic, and when you're using all these topics in terms of, you may be using 3 topics, you're just talking about life anyway. Although you understand that life is one idea, and guess what? I use my videos, I use my 1 hour, I put it into UCut application, which is a video software. I then make sure I export my videos, and now this video here is recording on 720 HD. I mean 720 HD. I mean I can make it record on 1020 HD, although I drop it down to 720 HD so I can have more memory and processing power to make sure that my phone never lags. When I record 3 hours of video, I promise you that I've saved 12 gigabytes of phone storage just because I dropped the HD in terms of my recording potential. And then guess what? From 720 HD, I get it into the video software. And then I drop it down to 320 pixels. From 720 HD, I go into 320 pixels into a medium quality. I realize it's more than enough for me to see my face and for you to hear my voice. Do you understand? I mean, it's a video quality, and it's also easier to load when you're watching it, and it's also easier to download, and it's also easier to upload. Why? Because a 1 hour video is 7 gigabytes, and if I upload my 720 HD videos, I realize it's going to take me 1 hour to upload it first, and it's going to take you 30 minutes to download it, and it's going to lag inside of the storage online. So what do? I realize I put it into 320 megapixels, and it's only 600 megabytes to download instead of 7 gigabytes. Do you understand? I realize it's 600 megabytes. And then you understand, because of that, you can download it within 2 minutes. You upload it within 5 minutes. Do you understand? And then guess what? It's a nice quick way for you to save time in the process, because when you upload in 5 minutes, it's better than uploading in 55 minutes. I realize because I have 300 courses, I realize that is 55 minutes times 300. I realize that's how much time I saved. I realize that's another beautiful technique where I can write it in my nice beautiful calendar over here. I realize I still have to write my other beautiful calendar technique, which was that I still have it now, that I have around $2,700 now. Do you understand? And you have to understand, the government gives me this money, although I realize it's called Social Security. And guess what? I don't care. Although you understand that I'd rather make the money for free than having to work for it. Do you understand? So realize that when you guys are understanding my point of view here, that I never work a 9-to-5 job because I have a business over here, and I'd rather do this business than having to work a 9-to-5 job, because it's about working myself more than a 9-to-5 job, as Jim Rohn says. And that's why I just receive a government allowance and I don't give a fuck, because guess what? That the whole point is, I apologize for swearing, because it's never about swearing in life. I realize that I don't care, or else I'd rather say I don't care over the other point of view, because it's never about I don't give a fuck. I realize it's about I don't care. I don't care to swear anymore. I realize that I realize I take ownership about swearing. You have to understand, you take ownership every time you say a swear word. You say, I apologize guys, I said this word. I was never supposed to say this word, I was supposed to word it in this way. I don't care anymore. I realize that's a better way. I realize that's a nicer way. I realize I need you to be nicer, because the attitude is what you're going to accumulate over time. And then you realize that since I receive all this allowance, you realize that there's a coronavirus going on outside, and guess what? It's a pandemic. You understand? I'm better than a pandemic. I'm better than what's going on in the outside world. I'm better than what's out there. I'm only in the inside. I'm realizing that I never get negative, although you understand that most people are working a certain amount of time and they're getting scammed throughout the economics of the world. because economics is here to disrupt you and hold you back, and so is the 9 to 5 job. You have to understand that is why I just receive money from the government, and what do I do? I realize that I go long term, and because I go long term, I create courses, and then because I create courses, I grow myself in the process and in front of people at the moment. And you'll see over time, the more I get in front of people, and hence I go into Brisbane and into the 7 pillars in terms of the 4 pillars of Brisbane, whereas I promise you, where it's the 4 corners, I sit in the middle and I do it every single day for the next 3 months. And guess what? I build up a nice beautiful hype around me. I'll do this over the long term. You have to understand that attention is where you're going to have to go in order for yourself to get something big. Although many people are going to say you're so lucky and that you did social security and you never had to work a 9 to 5 job. You never have to work a 9 to 5 job. I never chose for you to work a 9 to 5 job. You understand? And I never chose for you to go and do anything else other than your life. You have to understand your life is something in the making, and you have to better your life all the time. Although you have to understand, you're going to receive money from the government because it's printed money. I realize that you never work for printed money. I realize that you go and ask them, why are you guys printing money and then making us work for it? Because when you're printing money for free, you go and give it for free. I realize they're printing money. I realize they print a lot of money within a second, and guess what they do? I realize they make you work 40 hours a week for $1,000 when $1,000 is printed in 1 second. I mean, are you worth that? I realize, are you worth $20 an hour? I realize I'm worth more than that. I realize I have more money as the government's giving me more money, and guess what? I have more money than those people who have the 9 to 5 job now. You have to understand, I have $2,700, and most homes today and people who have homes and people in the world have under $500 in their pocket now. I realize they have under $500. I can live for the next 3 months because I calculated the nice beautiful Brisbane Nomads here in Brisbane, which is a nice beautiful accommodation centre, is $28 a day for 1 room. I mean, it's a 1 room bedroom. I mean, in Sydney and in Eastwood where I used to live, it's $21. I mean, that was last year, and I moved out from my dad's apartment, which is my biological dad's apartment. I moved into Eastwood, and guess what? I lived on my own for $150 a week. I never lived for money. I never lived for $150. I lived in a home where I was giving rent of $150 a week, which is $21 a day. I realize I'm doing better now, and I may have increased my rent, although I'm in Brisbane, and I'm in the centre of Brisbane for an extra $1 or something like that. And you understand, I'm never doing it for an extra $1 or something like that. You understand that you have to be careful around your words. I'm giving an extra $6. I'm giving an extra $7 to be in the centre of Brisbane though. I need to understand that when you're wording sentences with the money sequence, I never need you to say for money. I never need you to say for this amount. I never care about the amount of money that you apparently are confused about. I need to understand that it's never about the money. I need to understand I give this much. I need to understand that when you're a person who's working 9 to 5, you're never working for the money. I need to understand you just say, I give 1 hour to gain this many numbers in my life. I'm rich or better. Do you understand? So you're never working for $20 an hour. You're giving 8 hours a day to make $200. I used to have that kind of sequence and that kind of capability to speak like that. I mean, I was giving $150 a week inside Eastwood. I was never doing it for the money. I gave $150 a week. I now give $200 a week. You understand? Because there's a bit of a difference. Although you understand that the difference is that I'm in a better shape now. I'm in a better mentality now. I'm in the street now. And when I'm in the street, I'm doing something in the street to better my life. I can always be in the street because to be in is to be inside. I can be in people, and that means to be inside myself. Whereas now, because I'm a better person and the year has passed, I now realize I'm a better communicator. And because I am, I'm very sharp. I mean, my mindset is a sharp sword, and it's one that has a fire on it that's much more passionate. I realize that I'm not in the brim of hell. I'm not a person in hell. I'm a person living life right now. I realize that I'm in the center of Brisbane. I realize that because I moved away from Sydney totally, I realize in 1 year and 1 month, I visited my biological father within the 1 year of traveling. And it's been 1 year now totally that I've been traveling without my biological father with me. And it's been an incredible experience because with my biological dad, and what happened is he has poor habits and he was always dragging me down with his habits, and I always had to rely on him. I had to rely on him so much because I had nobody else. I didn't even have myself. I had to rely on him for money and cigarettes and to just live life. And because I moved away, I thought I could never do it before. I thought I was never capable. I then believed in myself. I started to really plan every single day. I started to plan. I got my exercise books out. You can go and see my photos. I have 1,000 photos of all these exercise books that I used to write in. And I used to just write and write and write in these exercise books. And then I said to myself, why am I writing inside exercise books for? I mean, I have my journal, I have my phone. I started to write in my phone and journal. I just started to date every single thought. I mean, I started to date every single thought. And you can see my year 26 reflection, which is 7 months of material. You understand that I lost nothing. I've only gained. I'm only better than yesterday. I lost nothing of my information. I've lost nothing. I'm always a person who is doing better. I realized in high school I had a girlfriend, and guess what? I dumped her, and I never made a mistake. I thought I always made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake because I'm better than yesterday. I'm better than yesterday. I never make a mistake when I'm better than yesterday. Although you understand, I was making mistakes. I realized that I made a mistake then. I was going downhill. Oh, I made a mistake. Although, guess what? I never make mistakes anymore. And I make more mistakes, and then guess what? I'm growing from it. I'm always growing from my mistakes. I realized that what mistakes are is something that you're never learning from. You have to understand. You have to learn from it. And because at the age of 17, I had a girlfriend and I dumped her just for no reason, I then was going downhill for the next 6 years, and 7 years, and 8 years. I from 17 was going downhill until the age of 25. That's 8 years. Or that's 7 years. I was going downhill and I made a mistake. And then guess what? I switched it around. I turned around. And I started to write in my journal in between that time. And I realized that each and every time I speak something, I have to do it in a better way. And each and every thought I had, I wrote a date between that thought. I write a date, I write one sentence. I write another date, which is the same date, I write another sentence. I write another date, which is the same date. I write the sentence, and then I do that every single day. And I may have all these thoughts in the day, and it's going to be for one dialogue or one date. You can go and see the examples in my year 26 reflection, which is my notes. You then realize that in my year 27 reflection, I started to change. I started to change my way of doing stuff. And now, you'll see the nice, beautiful transition of I started to journal in a better way when I became 27. And then once I became 28, I journaled in a different manner even more. I started to even better myself in my journaling, and I started to write full pages. Now, I write full pages now, and it's 9 pages every single day about my life. I realize that each day is a chapter, and sometimes I write 1 page where there may be 3 pages or 9 pages. I realize that sometimes I have sometimes 5 journals which have 9 pages each, so that's 40 pages. I can write up to 40 pages. I can write up to 49 pages. I can write more than that, although I get tossed away in terms of life and I go away in a better way. I never get tossed away in a negative way. I get a much better interest to go somewhere else and do something else other than my journal. And that way I'm doing something, because when I'm not writing my journal, I'm doing it. And I only go to my journal to do something. I only go to my journal to figure out my life better on how can I go and do more action now in my journal. Because my journal enables me to go and do my action. What I do is make sure that no matter what, that you get all the information and ideas that I'm giving you. And I feel like I've been in my comfort zone here. I'm not in my comfort zone, although it feels different now. I feel that there's nobody around watching me, although it's a nice feeling. I realize it's a nice feeling, although I need to be in the spotlight more. I realize that once you're giving videos away from the crowd, I realize it's never the excitement anymore. I realize I love to give you these videos. I just have to do it in front of a crowd now. I love to see what people are doing. I love to see what people are looking at me like. I love to see their attention. I like to see them looking at me as I'm doing it. Otherwise, it's a different feeling. I have a different feeling. I feel like this is so easy now to do. Otherwise, it's so easy for me to do this nice, beautiful video where there's no crowd because nobody's watching me now. Otherwise, when people are watching me, I realize that I got a thrill. I'm really excited. I'm really more excited when people are watching me. I realize there's a massive difference. You have to experience it for yourself. You have to go on the street and see it for yourself and then compare the difference. I realize that each and every day that something negative may happen, I realize that somebody may come and take off your poster. I realize you don't know that person, and I don't know anybody. I don't even know my family. I don't know myself either. I'm just growing. I stick to the point where I don't know always. And because I do that, I'm always growing. I realize that some person just comes and gets your poster and throws it on the floor. I realize you're doing your work, and you guys can see in my videos, if you've been following, you'll understand that people have came and took my business cards and just ran away with her. I realize I have 100 business cards on the floor. I realize I have 90 business cards on the floor, and the person picks them up, all of it. I realize the guy picks it up and picks all of it in terms of life, and guess what? He throws it away. I realize the guy just picks up my business cards and runs away with it. I realize the other person gets the poster and says, you cannot put the poster where this guy's shoulder is. And he gets the poster and puts it on the floor. I realize, although, that they're just savages. I realize they're just people who are junkies. I realize they've got bad image already. I can see it. I can see they've got bad images. I see they've got mental health issues. I realize some guy walks past me and says, you cocksucker. Or I realize, I don't know what you're saying. I realize that, I never said that about you, although you understand that they just stupid. I realize that you can hear it in the video. I realize I stopped on purpose so you can hear it. You understand? Because some people are just like that, and I just ignore them. I ignore them. And when somebody tells me that I cannot do something, I can always do something. I can always do it. I make sure that I don't care about what they say, because they believe that I've been lower than them in some kind of way, and they believe that only they can do something and that nobody else around them can do something. So they say that you can never do it, although you can, although they try to kick you down. And you never just be the one who's kicked down. You lift the people up who kick you down. And that way you'll never regret it. You'll never regret your nothing. You'll never regret your life. And that way you understand the difference between street performance and also accommodation, and doing these videos inside your accommodation or doing the street. I realize when I do on the street, I have to be there for 3 hours. I have to be there for 3 hours because I walked 10 minutes to get there. I carried all my stuff. I got my speaker, I got my microphone, I got my poster. I have reasons to be on the street for 3 hours every single day to do my content in front of people, because now it's exciting. And I realize the more I do it every single day, I pump up the music for 10 minutes, and it's my entry music to go and do my content in the tunnel here. And I do it in the tunnel because there's no noise, and I realize there's no cars, and sometimes skateboards go here and there, although you understand that mostly there's no construction, and you understand that my video is sound quality. Although you understand that when you are hearing my audio programs, you understand that sometimes my audio may be vibrating just in one ear here, or realize that it may be here and there where you just hear me in one, or realize you hear me in one direction more than the other one in terms of the headphones and the earphones. Although you understand, I give my best all the time to make sure that you can hear me. And I set my phone up right in front of the speaker, and I don't know why the speaker is saying that you guys hear me on the left side more and stuff like that, although you understand that you still hear me. I hear the video and how the quality is. I realize that since you can hear me 70% on this side and 30% on this side, you understand that you can still hear me. And I say, fuck it. I realize that, I apologize, I swore again. I realized I had all the time in the world. I had all the time in the world to never swear. I had all the time in the world to never swear, so I apologize for swearing. And I love you guys anyway. You understand that I now realize I have to better my speech capability over here. And it's really, I said, okay. I realized I said, okay, I'll do something better. I realized that's a nice, beautiful approach where I never have to swear in that moment. I realized I can just say, I will look at myself now, and I'll say, since this happened, I'll make sure that never happens again. I'll make sure no matter what, I'll make sure that you guys can hear me anyway. I listened back to my audio program. I said, you guys can hear me. I realized I can hear myself. I can hear the knowledge. I hear the knowledge. I realized I can read that. I realized no worries. You guys can stay tuned until I find a better way to make a better quality video. You guys have to realize that there's always a nice way where you never have to swear. You never have to swear in your communication. You take one step back. You then say, what else can I put here? What else can I put here so I don't have to swear? Then it's just go around the swear word. Go around and say something different that you've never said it before. Realize that it's never about being rude. You have to understand the more you say these rude words, I promise you that it's a rude word, and a rude word is never nice. You have to understand, you may have kids around, and you have to understand you never teach the kids to swear. You understand? So have that type of leadership quality. Otherwise, I do understand that my Toastmasters mentor did say that swearing is not nice, and I say people always do it. Otherwise, that I just have to be real. I have to be real. I said I have to be real. Otherwise, that life is real when you're swearing. Otherwise, no matter what, that it's never the appropriate way to do it. Otherwise, that when you're a nice, beautiful public speaker, you have no swearing. You have no swearing, and just be the best you can be with no swearing. Otherwise, you may swear here and there. I just say apologize in front of the camera and in front of the crowd for swearing and take ownership for it and never do it again. Otherwise, today I swore a couple of times. Otherwise, it's better than 25 times in 1 minute before. You understand that when you're around people who swear 25 times in 1 minute, I promise you they're criminal. I promise you those people are junkies. I promise you they're people who are drug addicts. I never need you around them. I never need you around those people. And you should understand that when you're bettering your life and you're doing something amazing, you're going to be a person who is always better than yesterday. I get the gist. I get the gist. I get the gist. I get this love. I get this amazing gift. Whereas the gift is that you are learning. I'm learning. Whereas the gift is something greater. You understand? I now see the thrill of being on the street and doing performance on the street, and the thrill of being on the street while also looking at the difference. And I look at the difference, and I'm looking at the difference I see right now, which is the difference between being on the street and being in accommodation, where I get more of a thrill being on the street and doing my performance. And I get more excited. To even show up on the street every single day is amazing, because most people look at you and they're giving you this love, and you go at the thrill because you always have something going on around you, because just people are walking around you and you're doing something, and it's just a beautiful thrill. I promise you it's going to be even better when I go in the center of the 4 pillars of Brisbane, and it's going to happen soon. I have another 3 days to go. Otherwise, no matter what, I have to do my audition first, and then I have to pass. And if they don't pass me, I don't care, because the whole point is I'll never wait for a permit ever again. I realize that now, since I ignore permits, I realize I'll get this one. I'll get this permit, and then I'll see what to do. I realize also that I see my next 2 weeks ahead, and it's going to be full of street performance and promotion. Otherwise, I just promote myself. And the whole point is long-term perspective. The long-term of, you can see my first course and how I started. You can see my courses now and how I'm starting these courses each and every day. You can see my communication skills. You can see how much more professional and developed I am. Because you can see I put myself into discomfort, and I give my whole heart into a video. I give everything that I have. And that's the whole point. The whole point is do something that nobody else has. And the only thing that you can do is communicate better. Otherwise, once you communicate better, you'll look better. You'll feel better. You'll have better habits. And you'll be your own person. And you'll be your own unique person. And then you brand yourself. You take some photos of yourself. You take some videos of yourself. You invest in photos and videos of yourself. You upload it online. You upload it online because nobody does it for me. Otherwise, I have to, every single day, upload, and upload. Do you understand? So I never rely on other people to do that for me, because that's my life. Otherwise, I take responsibility to make sure that you guys get all my videos and in the best quality and in the best fashion. You understand? Even though it's a 320, I realized even though it's a 320 megapixel, even though it's a 320 pixel video, I realized you can still see my face. And that's important. I realized that 320 pixels is always going to be around. And that way you understand that when you're a better person than yesterday, you'll be a person who never regrets anything. You always find an idea. Although, I miss the street. I miss doing street performance. I get high. I get really I realize I get a high. I'm really much more intensified. I'm much more excited. I'm much more happier on the street when I'm doing a street performance than doing it inside accommodation now. Or else I started doing it in front of people before, and I now broke through the roof. I broke through the roof, and the only way to do that is in front of people. I realized that when you're doing 3 hours of content over a 9-day period, you realize you've done 27 hours of content in front of people. Or else it's really quick. It's different when you're doing 20 minutes in front of people here and there. I realize when you're doing 3 hours a day, I realize it's a tremendous growth overnight. You have to realize that you have to go and do your street performance. You accomplish the 3 hours first. First you have to get there. You have to set up. You have to pump up your music in front of people, and so that people watch you all the way for 10 minutes until you do your speech. And then they're watching you while you're setting up and you're pumping the music. And then you start your first session, which is your first topic. You speak for 1 hour. You then have a 5-minute talk with yourself to grow. And what did you learn from that video? You recap, and then you drink some soy milk and have something to eat. And then you turn down the music, and then you pause, and you turn up the volume, and you say, I test. You test the nice beautiful speaker that you have, you make sure it's working, and then you set up your camera again. And guess what? Before you even set up your camera again, make sure that you export your video in 320 megapixel. I realize that you export your video in 320 pixels so that you never have to wait and do it after you come from street performance. You just do it right there, and as you're doing your video is going to be exporting. And that's a nice, beautiful multitasking technique. And then you realize you have your session 2. Realize that once you get to the street performance, it's really do your first video only. You realize that you never know what's going to happen. Somebody may say you have to go away from here, and somebody may be giving you trouble, although you just focus on the first topic, and then you focus on the second topic once you finish the first, and then you export the second topic as well, and then you start the third video, and then you finish the third video, and then you pop up the music for another 10 minutes on the way back, and then people are going to watch you. Although the nice beautiful gesture that I have is I'm an electronic music producer, and I produced my first track, and I have $1,200 that I gave for this track with Leo Bar, and you can find it in my Mega Drive. And I have a trumpet version now, although I have another 3 vocals that I'll put in, and it's going to be 4 vocals singing at the same time with trumpets and saxophones, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be a nice beautiful symphony, and it's going to be all stuck in one beautiful folder, and it's going to say Leo Bar with Danny Milivojevic. Danny Milivojevic with Leo Bar, because I'm first, and that way you understand. You never put other people's names first. You understand that you're going to put your name first, and you understand that when your name's first, you put Jesus first too. You understand that my folder will have everything in terms of my beautiful track that is around $1,500. You understand though that I will just grab myself vocalist, or else they do it for a certain money, or else they're doing it for money, I'm doing it for something greater. I receive the money for free from the government, and where do I put it? Into music. I put it into self-education. I put it into audio programs. I put it into technology to do these audio programs, because that's what matters. Otherwise, I get the money, I put it into audiobooks, and I read audiobooks. I get the money, I put it into travels and getting around with transport, and also with planes, and also with personal data to upload all my content, and to make sure that I get myself technology like a technology like a megapixel camera, and laptop to do some music, and headphones to listen to some music, and clothing, and new food every single day, and accommodation. Whereas I have subscriptions also, which is my website, which is my Mega Drive, where you're watching this content And you understand, I give $17 a month now. I realize I will be giving $17 a month until I reach over 2 terabytes. I realize at the moment I have 600 gigabytes of storage. I mean, I have 600 gigabytes online already, and then I have another 1.4 terabytes to go. And then once that happens, I realize then it's going to go from 2 terabytes to 8 terabytes, which is the next one, which is Pro 2 level. I am at the Pro 1 level in terms of the Mega Drive, although you understand that I'll have another 6 terabytes of information, and then I'll be giving around, I don't know, I'll be giving around $25 and up to $30 a month, although it's going to be much more worth it because I have all this content to give you, and you understand that is free. I give it for free. I do it for free because it helps. And guess what? My work's always going to be for free because that's how you build attention. You build attention for free. You understand? I mean, I don't care. I mean, if they make me work, you understand, I work the minimum wage. I work the minimum wage. I work 15 hours a week. I realize that I receive money from the government, although you understand that in the future, they're going to say that Social Security is going to finish. And then those people in the future who are watching me now, realize that you may be watching me 300 years from now, I will promise you that there may be no Social Security anymore, and there may be no Medicare and all that. You understand that you still have to go and apply my skills. I promise you that they may make a new rule and say you must work minimum 30 hours a week. I don't know what's going to happen, although you understand that at the moment, 15 hours a week you have to work in order to receive government allowance. And what am I doing? I'm just receiving the allowance and I'm throwing it into self-education and music and technology and making sure that I grow from it, although they're trying to make you work. And what I'm doing is I'm staying away from the 9 to 5 as much as I can, so I outsmart them. I'm rich or better. Although you understand, I'm not a criminal because they're criminals. I mean, they're criminals because they're trying to make you scam your life. I realize they're printing money and they're saying that if you don't work for the money, you're a criminal. I mean, they're jokes. I mean, they're really jokes. I realize they're people who are scamming your time for money. I mean, they're making you work for money, and Jesus said never work for money. And you should understand that I realize that when you work for money, it's the root of all evil because you're worth more than $20 an hour. I don't care about waitering jobs. I'm better than that. You can see that in my videos. You can see I'm better than a waitering job, and what are they going to give me? Or else they'll give me $18. Or else they'll give me $18 an hour. You have to understand, I'm worth more than that. You understand? I get the attention now. I get the attention now because what is smart is that you realize that they're going to throw it on you. You stole some money from them. Do you understand? And guess what? During the coronavirus, they give me $1,200 every fortnight. Do you understand? I realize they're not saying anything. Although you understand, I'm doing better either way. You have to understand, it's excellent that they say nothing because that means I'm doing something and I'm making $600 a week, which is an amazing amount when it's 1 to 5 days of work days. And you have to understand that $600 in any type of amount that you have in terms of money is an amazing amount. You have to understand that the higher the number is number one. I mean, number one is the biggest number. And just be a person that understands that it's not about the money. I never care about the $2,700 that I have, although I invest it better. I invest it much better. And you have to understand that you need money to be able to function in terms of go around the world and all of this, although it's never about the money. You should understand right now that I have $2,700 and I get $600 a week, and those people who work the McDonald's and 9 to 5 jobs are working for that money for 40 hours a week. I get it from the government. You understand? And now you guys may call me lucky and all this, although guess what? I've been doing it for a year. Do you understand? I've been doing it for a year. I've been growing. I've been doing my content. I've been really never procrastinating, and I've been doing better. And guess what? I've been traveling in my own country and receiving allowance. I mean, I've been doing it on purpose. I've been doing it on purpose. Do you understand? Because they're scammers. I realize that people who are saying that you get money from the government, you must work the 9 to 5 job for that money, or else they're all working the 9 to 5 job. And those people that are saying that are the ones that are working in a 9 to 5 job and saying that you must work a 9 to 5 job. And guess what? They're all stuck in the system of the economics of this world, and you have to stay away from it. You have to stay away from it like I am today, because I'm better than this day. Because if I work in a 9-to-5 job, I promise you they start kicking me down. I promise you I'd be unhappy. I promise you I'd never leave Sydney. I'd never leave Sydney to go and see Australia for 1 year and 1 month. Whereas I went to 8 areas that are fascinating around Australia, which are Adelaide and Melbourne. I went to Cairns and Townsville. I went to Australia Zoo to see Steve Irwin's beautiful zoo up there. You understand that? I went to Sunshine Coast. I went to 3 areas of Sunshine Coast, which is the Mooloolaba, and I went to Mangnaic Island. I also went to Noosa, Mooloolaba, and Maroochydore, which is in Sunshine Coast. I went to Perth. I went to Hobart. I went to Adelaide. I realized I went to these places I've never been before 25. I never went before 26. I never went before 27. I realized on my 27th birthday, I realized a month later, I left Eastwood. I realized I just left. I didn't know how long I'll go for. I just went. And then I said I'll be there for 1 week. And then I said I'll never go back. I signed a lease with the person who was my landlord. I mean, I have no landlord in life. I realized I signed a lease with some person who was my landlord, and I just left. I gave him $100 to just shut the fuck up. Otherwise, no matter what, although you understand that I apologize for swearing again, I realize that I have to better my communication skills here. I realize that I gave him $100 so that I can go around him, and I outsmarted him to make sure that he can never take me to court. And I said, I'll just give you $150. I gave him $150, and he said, alright. I realized I gave him some money because he said, you give me $150, I'll just say whatever. Because he was a person who said that you left all of a sudden and you never told him. I mean, I never told him that I was going to go. I never told anybody what I'll do next. You never tell anybody what you're going to do next, because if you told the landlord, I'm sure he will say, you cannot go. You signed the lease contract with me. I don't care about you, man. Do you understand? Because you never tell him, you just leave. And then we'll figure it out. I left. I don't care about the telling. I don't care about telling him. I don't care about me telling him. Because the whole point is I leave, so I go and be happier. I don't care about his lease contract. Whereas what's important is I left, I never went back. Whereas by the time he takes me to court and all of this, I realize he's wasting time. I realize he's wasting his time. I realize he's gonna waste a lot of money on a lawyer. I realize it's not worth him doing it. I realize it's a 2.5 month process to even get that $100 back from me. I realize he's never gonna do it. You just leave. Otherwise, he's gonna block you and he's gonna say, you must stay here for 2 months to give me the rent. You give me this amount for this 2 months and you can go. Or else, no matter what, I just left and I said goodbye. Or else, you never ever tell the landlord or anybody that you're gonna go, you just go. Or else now, when I say I have to go Darwin, I say I'll go Darwin and I'll just go. Or else nothing stops me back. I realize although they never sign a contract around this life, I realize that in the WWE Wrestling, which is a wrestling organization, I realize they have employees. And the employees are the WWE superstars. And guess what? Vince McMahon or whoever's working may give them a certain salary every single year and say, you must work this much for me in order to get this much in return, in terms of pay-per-views and also money required in a contract. So they sign a contract and they have to be with the WWE for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. I mean, they can never leave. I mean, when the WWE goes to this place, I mean, they must go, and if they don't, they lose all of it. I mean, that's the kind of contract that you never sign. You never sign those contracts. You never do it, because otherwise you have to go around the world, and even though you are on TV, you understand that it's a contract you signed, and they own you. I mean, they own you now. I mean, they own you. I mean, you understand that people in the sports range, I mean, they work for money. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo signs a 70 million deal to be in Juventus for 3 years. I mean, that guy can never leave Juventus. I mean, that guy is owned by somebody. I mean, the guys are possession. I mean, the guys now have to, the guy has to perform for somebody else in terms of money because he's making the money. Whereas the guy's working for money. I realize he's a massive soccer star. although he's working for money. I'll be a free agent. I love to be a free agent. I do it for free. I never do it for money. I come and go as I please. You have to understand that Brock Lesnar is somebody who's a free agent in WWE. I promise you, although, that is what he is. Because he's a person who just comes and goes. And that's what you need to do. You need to realize that when you're a person who understands you be a free agent and you have no contracts, although he may sign a contract or something here, I realize that he's going to sign a stipulation and he says, I'll never do this what you say over here. I'll never do this. I have to come and go as I please. I need my own jet to come and do your shows. Well, you have to realize, you have to put in your own stipulations, because never let other people run your mind and run your life. You understand that people are going to try to kick you down, although regret nothing, and you understand that each and every single video that I've taught you is how to really understand a much better life, because those people who understand a greater life are the ones who are ahead of life. You have to be ahead of life, although you're going to understand that when you get on the street and you get in front of people, apparently it's a thrill. I love it because it's like a drug. And I never loved drugs. Although it feels exciting and it feels amazing and I feel enthusiastic and charismatic in front of people. And I get some looks from the women. All those women are looking at me and they're looking to say hi, and some woman just stands in front of my poster and she stands there for 5 seconds to see. I realize that I get some attention. I realize I love the attention. I love the spotlight now. And because I love the spotlight, I'm always doing better. And I'm never focused on the outside world. So when I have junkies around me and I have drug addicts and people who have poor skills around me, I go into my emotions and I never get offended, and I never ever cause trouble. I never cause trouble around me in life. I understand I was supposed to do a 33-minute video, although I went above. And that's above and beyond. You have to understand, you have to go and do far more than everybody else. I realize that I still have some time, although you understand that the thrill of life is go on the street and do your content. You understand what I mean. You understand that it's just different. I mean, I never even feel the best anymore, because I am the best. I'm the best I've ever been. I although realize that what got me here is the best moment of my life. You have to understand that it's really, this moment is the best moment of my life. And because of that, it's really, what did I do before to even get to this point? And I have to realize that I still have to go and get the thrill again and be on the street again, because I have a much better sense of who I am in the spotlight than being inside my accommodation alone doing these videos. Otherwise, it's a different point of view. You understand that you never have to wait to do a seminar. You never have to wait for 1 month to gather up people to go and do a seminar. You just go do it right now on the street. You get yourself a permit. You get yourself a permit for the first time. You're going to try it out and see is it worth it. You'll find out it's worth it. I promise you then, every 3 months, I realize that whatever means now. I realize I have a habit saying whatever. I realize it's a lazy habit. I realize that you never have lazy habits, and you be on top of your communication and really drive it in and speak for 3 hours on the street for the next 9 days. I promise you, it's a challenge I give you right now. You understand that you're going to really dwell in growth. You're going to grow, baby. And you understand that each and every night you're growing, and you're never dying, and you're getting better and better and better. I realize that as soon as I start on the street, you'll see 9 days later, here I am. I'm doing better than ever now. I realize that I leveled up. From Byron Bay, I was in Byron Bay for 1 week. I seen Byron Bay. I came here. I started to watch Robert Kiyosaki's seminar. I was supposed to go to Darwin. And then I said, I can go get a speaker now. I don't have to wait 5 months to do a street performance. I was contemplating on doing street performance 5 months later. I mean, after Darwin and after Alice Springs. I was delaying it. I was delaying street performance. I then chose to do street performance and stay in Brisbane over Darwin that I've never seen before. I then go where the spotlight is, because that's something new I've never done. And here I am doing it over and over again now. And I'm doing it much better than yesterday. And I'm feeling more confident than ever. I'm feeling better than ever. I'm doing something that I've never done. And each and every day I do it, I'm doing much better than yesterday. And I'm much better and more fluent and much more pronunciation in my life I have, because I've been doing it in front of people and I see how people react. I realize I pick up the reactions and how they are. I realize they're not. I realize they're not dangerous. I realize that 1% of them are dangerous. I realize 1% of them, which is just 1% of the 1%, may touch a poster or pick up your business cards or tell you to get lost or tell you to pick up your stuff and go. I realize that they have no rights to even say that, although they have a right to speak, although they have no right to kick you away. You have to understand that 1% of the 1% of the people on the street who are walking past are going to be negative and are going to criticize you. I mean, 1% of the 1% of the total amount of people that's viewed you. So just realize that is the odds of somebody who is negative to even come around you. You have to understand that most people are positive. You understand that you just be the person who's on the street doing something and you realize you'll regret nothing. You'll never regret anything. You have to understand that in order for you to become a better person and regret nothing in this video, you understand you just grow. You grow and you be a better person. Otherwise, I need the thrill more. I need to be in front of people. I need to be in front of the spotlight. I deserve it. Otherwise, there's no going back anymore. Otherwise, I've got nothing back to go to. Otherwise, there's nothing backwards in my life. Otherwise, there's nothing back there. Otherwise, there's nothing back in the crowd that I was with. I realized they're low lives. I realized that people who are stuck in a 9-to-5 job. I realized they're not doing anything. I realized that people who deserve the attention and the spotlight are the ones who are constantly putting themselves in it. You have to constantly put yourself there over and over and over and stay consistent throughout time and build hype in one area. I mean, Brisbane has 2.2 million people. And the more they get to know me in Brisbane, probably they're going to start following me more and more. And I'll build more of a hype over time. I'll get to understand more of who they are. And then once I understand more of the people nature and the people around me and how to be in the spotlight better, I'll get more confident. And I'll continue to speak and speak and speak. And then eventually, I'll do better. I'll do better through communication. I'll invite them into my seminar. I'll start to speak with them and I'll be in the center of attention every single day. I promise you, I'll grab their attention. I'll grab the attention and I'll build the hype around myself in better ways. I realize that when other people are speaking around you, I realize they're stupid. I realize although they're focusing on themselves, and guess what? You just focus on your video. You understand? Because you just have to understand when you're doing your videos, I beg you to never do it around somewhere where it's loud. Because that way, you'll understand what I mean by silence. When you have a beautiful quality video, when there's nothing tuk 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 in the background. Otherwise, it's really annoying. I realize that some of my videos have that, although I benefited from it. I learned something from it. I've gone up, and that's it. I realize no matter what, I've learned so much over the past year, and I've been traveling, and even though I've been gaining from the government money, I've never done anything illegal because they printed the money in the first place. I realized they lost nothing. And I gave it back to them in other ways. I gave back all of that money that they gave me. I realized they gave me $18,000 in the year. I realized, guess what? I gave you 300 courses. I gave you 300 courses and something to think about in the moment. I gave you ideas. I contributed in another way. I realized I'm not a person who I'm not a stealer. I'm not a person who steals money. To realize I'll never ever go the long way in government pensions. I realize that I get a pension now. I realize it's like a pension. I realize although you understand that I'm better than a pension, because guess what? I'm the man in the spotlight every day. You understand my story, that if you're on the government allowance right now and you're watching me, you'd be on the government allowance, because the 9-to-5 job will never get you there. Unfortunately, those people who rely on the stock market and economics and other people and other financial advisors to help their finances, unfortunately, that's never going to happen. Unfortunately, never rely on outside circumstances. I never rely on the government to give me money. Otherwise, at any second now, they may say, what are you doing now? I mean, what do you need to do for the 9-to-5 job? Otherwise, I have to go Darwin. I have to go Darwin because I just outsmart them like that. I just say, I have to go Darwin. I have to go Darwin now. I have to go Darwin. I have to go see Darwin first. Otherwise, they say nothing because I'm traveling. Otherwise, as soon as they get me in the 9-to-5 job, I leave the 9 to 5 job. I said, I have to go Darwin now. I've got money to go Darwin. I've got somebody to see over there. I've got rights to travel. I can travel anytime. I get the money that they give me, I just travel. Otherwise, I have to be on the move. Otherwise, that's a nice, beautiful, smart technique that you can use today. Otherwise, I'm not an illegal person. I'm not using their money to do illegal matters. I'm using the money to better my life. I'm looking better, I'm feeling better. I have 3 months of rent. 3 months ahead. I see $2,700 is $28 every single day, which is 3 months of living. I can give for accommodation alone. As I understand. Now, I'm that type of person. I just came from the government here and there. I get the spotlight quickly, and you understand there is no time wasting over here. I cannot time waste. I cannot do some time wasting over here because there is no such thing as time wasting in my life anymore. I have a nice, beautiful way to help people now. Otherwise, now I'll get the spotlight. I'll get the spotlight. I'll get the spotlight. You understand? I need you to get the spotlight every day. I need you to understand that no matter who you, I don't care who you are. I say no matter who you are. I need you to understand that in the future they're gonna take away Medicare and Social Security and pensions. I promise you it's gonna be Bitcoin and currency. I promise you that you never ever resolve to that. I never need you to accumulate that in your life. I need you to understand it's a chase. I need you to understand that all real estate is going to be in Bitcoins and it's going to be in cryptocurrencies and it's going to go into stock market. And guess what? The stock market's going to crash. And so will all your Bitcoins and your cryptocurrencies because that's the economic system, which is a stock market and which is designed for you to fail. I need you to understand it's never about the Bitcoin. I need you to understand it's a big sidetrack. I mean, they're getting people on it so that they tumble down. I need you to understand it's all scam. I can see it. I relied on a trader, which was, a trader is somebody who just trades their time. Although this trader is a stock market trader. And this person said, you give me $1,500. I will invest it and I will trade with my computer to make you 50 grand. I said, wow. I said, I'll give you. I gave him $1,500. And guess what? For 4 months, I was waiting for the money. I was waiting for it. Although within that time, I was journaling and I was reading. And thank God for that. And guess what happened after 4 months? The guy says, you have to send me 10% of the money to gain the next amounts. I promise you, at first, the person sent me the money. And then he said, you have to send me back the money and I'll make you more. I send him back the money or I send all this and you can see that I was in awe. You can see I was very excited about it. I didn't know. Although, guess what? I made 50 grand and I see 50 grand on the number. And I see he needs 10% of the money to even suggest for me to grab the money because they need me to trust them. Otherwise, I said, you guys are scamming. Otherwise, the guy never replies. Otherwise, the guy's gone. What happened over here? Otherwise, I was relying on somebody else to make me money. And you never do that because that's the biggest thief. That's the biggest scam. You understand? So I needed somebody else to work for me to make me money. That's stupid mentality. I never seen that in the first place. As I understand, I never meant it that way, although I was unaware. I was unaware of what I was doing. I was getting other people to go and work for my money. I say that's stupid. I say it's a stupid mentality I had. Although you understand that I was robbed $1,500 because of that stupid mentality. I believed in a scammer. I believed in that I'll give you money and you go just make me money. I was that kind of guy. Although that is never me. You understand that it's just the thoughts I had. You understand that I believed the thoughts. I attached to the thoughts. I was stupid that way. You have to understand I'm smarter than that. And here I am better than yesterday. And I realized I never again will rely on the stock market. I never will again rely on a trader or a financial advisor or anybody who recommends that they can make me money. Because they never fucking will. I apologize for swearing again. I said it 3 times in this video now. I apologize for swearing because it's never the way to go. I apologize guys, so my phone died, although you understand that I have a portable charger here. And you have to understand that, for example, when you're a person who's sleeping in accommodation and you have a nice beautiful socket, and you have only one socket, I mean, go and charge your socket in terms of get yourself an extension cable, which is an extension cable with an adapter, where you have another 4 extra sockets. And that way you can charge multiple content in terms of your portable chargers and your technology, rather than just having to rely on one socket adapter. You can rely on 4, and you can get yourself one for $2.50. I mean, you can go and get yourself 4 adapter sockets that you can charge your technology with for $2.50, and you're never doing it for money. You're never doing it for $2.50. You're never doing it for $2.50. You're never doing it for $250. You're realizing that you go give $2.50, so you have 4 socket points, and that way you can charge your content and your technology, and that way you'll have a better life. And that way you understand that you go and use your skills in terms of technology, where you may have 2 phones, you put the phones in your bed, and you charge your phones with your portable chargers, and before you sleep you charge your portable chargers on the sockets, because that way you can charge also one phone with your portable charger, and then you can charge your one phone with the socket adapter, and then you can sleep with the other phone and have a nice beautiful Spotify playlist playing in your ear and a Brainwave with one phone. And that way you understand that you never have to always charge 2 phones there, so you never have a phone with you. Although you never attach to technology, you only use technology to do something for bigger purpose. And what is bigger purpose? I say these courses are a bigger purpose. It's something that's information driven, is going to help you. So be that kind of person today, and realize that I'm just giving you some skills here, although you understand that since I now realize that it's an economic system that is really ridiculous outside of me, you understand that my economic system inside is receiving money for free from the government, and then guess what? I use it to make sure that I waste no time. I waste no time. I never give it to women. I never give it to escorts. I never give it to brothels and strippers. I never give it to meat. I never give it to many aspects of life. And that way I have more money and I accumulate it. And where would I put the money, Danny? You'll understand that it's never about the money. I never care about the money. I care that I just have more of it, although you understand I never work for it. I never work for the money, because it's never about the money. You understand that most people are confused about the money, and they think that money is going to save them, and you never think. You have to understand that nothing's going to save you except you. You have to understand that money comes and goes. You have to understand what never comes and goes is wisdom. Once you gain the wisdom, you never lose it. Once you gain the money, you can lose it. I promise you that once you gain the real estate, I promise you the tornado can come and swipe it away. I promise you, although, that once you gain the wisdom, I promise you somebody can kill you, and guess what? They can never take the wisdom away from you. I promise you, they can never take your wisdom away from you. I promise you, although you go help people, I promise you that's the way to go. I promise you the way to go is to be a better person and to realize I'm not scamming the government. I promise you the government's scamming everybody else. I promise you the government right now is scamming you. I promise you, although, you may be a free world. And if the government right now is not scamming you, I promise you it's because there's no stock market and there is no money in the world. I promise you then you're free. I promise you when there's no money in this world, in terms of cryptocurrencies, I promise you when there's no cryptocurrencies and there's no stock market exchange and there's no tax anymore, I promise you that's a free world. I promise you from that point on, everybody's working a 9-to-5 job, which is they're giving their time as money, and there's no money involved, because the shopping centers, you can walk in and get anything for free. Do you understand? You can get anything for free. You can go rent a car for free. You can go live in accommodation for free. You can be off the street for free. I promise you that's salvation. I promise you that's where we need to go. And as long as that's not happening, I promise you the government is controlling you. And you have to understand that it's never about the economic crisis of the world outside of you. You have to understand the inside world is what matters. You have to understand, I look inside. You have to understand in that world, you have to boost your disciplines. And you have to realize that this content that I give you is everything in terms of life. I realize it's information, and it's information driven, and that's gonna boost your house of bricks, which is wisdom, and that's the house of bricks that you need more of. So gain more of this knowledge that I'm giving you, and over time, in the next 73 years, I hope to live more than that. You understand that I'm preparing every single day to reach 100 years. I'm going to be around for a long time. You have to understand, I'm doing better. Because I succeed long term. Unless most people never even see me. Unless the other day, I use the government's money. I use OPM, as Robert Kiyosaki said, and he said, never work for a paycheck. I never work for a paycheck anymore. I remember the day I called the warehousing employment agency and I said I quit. I realized that day I quit, and I never regretted it, although I did in that moment. I did regret it, and I said, screw you guys. I can do something better. And then it's the best decision I ever done. And then guess what? I then started to apply for other jobs after that. I said I screwed up, and then guess what? I never screwed up. I said I quit. I felt good about it. And then I was very confused, and I was going around and applying for other jobs, although I was in one area, and that's why, because they made me, and they were making me work for money. And it's never about the money. I realize you never work for the cryptocurrency ever, please. And you should understand that how much can you accumulate of that? You can accumulate forever of that money. I realize it's not going to help you. I realize that what will help you is freedom. And the more freedom that you provide other people, the more free you're going to be. Attention is what you need. You go for the attention because that's all the money in the world. Once you're better than yesterday, you work on the attention span. And your attention span is your scaling business to make sure you go worldwide with your brand. And your brand is your face and your name. I promise you don't need anything else. You don't need employees working for you. You don't need other people to carry your bags. You carry your own bags, please. You carry everything on your own. Although you understand that you just be a renter of life. You're renting everything and that's it. You're just here as a person who is a bypass, although you're now. You're never after pass. You're never a person who is an aftermath. You're a person who's bypassing life in a way. You're here and you're ready to learn and grow. And you understand you're here never to trespass, although you understand you're here to even trespass. You're here to just be, and you understand you're just going to grow. You understand you use other people's money. You ask them for money, and when they give it to you, you just run off with it. And guess what? You contribute more. You contribute more in another way. I'm richer better. I realize I'm not on the street like a homeless person because I've got something to do. I realize that the homeless people are doing the same thing. And they're grabbing money off the government and on the street though. What is the difference? I'm learning. I'm teaching you. I promise you they're not learning. I promise you they're not teaching you. I promise you they're scammers. I promise you they're scamming the government, although they're not really scamming the government. I promise you they're not scamming the government. I promise you the government will give them the money because they're homeless. I promise you the government will give you money too when you are successful. You, either way, never be homeless, and you realize you never rely on the outside circumstances and the government to support you. I never rely on them to support me. I realize that if they cut off the payments, I realize that I never look at payments. I receive capital only. I never care about payments. I never work for a paycheck. I realize that any time now, they can really cut the deal. And they can say, you've been doing this for this long and you have to return the money and you must work now, right here. I'm richer better. I'll say, okay, and they have to force me in that. They have to force me there. And I'll say 15 hours a week is your law. I'll give you $20 a fortnight. I'll give you $20 a fortnight to repay what you have. Because I have to live, man. I have to live. I also have to go Darwin in 2 weeks' time. Or else I have $2,700. So I leverage the money to go elsewhere now. I leverage that money to get away from them. I leverage the money to understand I just keep traveling. And if they force me to work the 9 to 5, I can live for the next 3 months. And guess what I do with this? I realize I have to understand that You have to guess what I'll do with the 2,700 bucks. I'll make sure that I contemplate. I make the jump. I make the jump, and I'd say, you guys will understand. I'm in Darwin now. I'll be doing some job searching over here, and guess what? I'm never doing job searching. I will go a job. Understand? And here I am. I'm doing better, and I never have to work a 9 to 5. Am I lying about that? I'm never really lying about that. I said I'll be doing some job searching today, because my job searching today is finding opportunities. I never said anything about the 9 to 5. I realize they're stupid. I realize they'll fall for it. You understand? I mean, they'll ask me, are you a person who's searching for jobs? I search for jobs. I've been applying for jobs. I've been applying. I realize they're not calling me. I realize they call me, I never pick up. I never pick up their stupid phone calls in my life. Which are better. You have to understand that because I never pick up, I never get forced into a 9 to 5 job. I don't say, I applied 20 jobs in the month. I realize you guys have to realize what's happening over here. I realize they're not calling. I realize although I don't care because they are calling, and guess what? I move away. I move away from them. I go to Alice Springs now. I realize now, since they gave me another 1,200 bucks because it's the coronavirus pandemic outside of me, I realize it's a nice, beautiful gift. And guess what? I thank you very much. And it's free money. I realize it's free money, and it's what I deserve. I deserve free money in life. I mean, when somebody gives you free money, you deserve it. I mean, I'll give you $1 million for free, you're happier. You're happier? I realize, although, that some people are never happier, though. You have to understand that money never makes you happier. You realize, I give you $1 million and you're fat and obese and ugly and a rude person and goes to prison all the time, and you've got no education and you're never growing. I promise you, I give you $1 million. I mean, you're going to never be happier. You say you're happier, you just never really understand life. I understand what this money means, although even though they may cut it out, I don't care, because guess what I'll do? I, at worst case scenario, will work 15 minutes. I'll work 15 hours minimum for the rest of my life. In terms of what the law says in the government, I'll work 15 hours a week. I'll work minimal wage, because the rest of the hours I'll work this over here. I'm smart. So if they increase it to 30 hours, I then will say, I will work 30 hours then. I'll work 30 hours. And guess what I'll do? I'll still be successful. I'll be doing better than everybody else. Although, if they increase my state in terms of where I have to work 30 hours a week and I have $3,000, or else I'll grab the $3,000. I'll say, I'll apply the job, and they find me a job. For example, I say I have to go 2 weeks in Darwin. I have to go there, and what are you going to do now? You're going to make me work a 9 to 5 job? Because they've got no rights to keep you in one area. I mean, they can never keep you in one area. Do you understand? So with the $3,000 and $2,700 I have right now, I mean, you understand that in 4 days, in a couple of days, I'll get the 2,700. I have 1,400 now, although they're going to give me another 1,200. And guess what? Once I grab the money, I have the money, and they can never take it away from me. I mean, the bank's never going to go into my money and grab it. I mean, they may use the money. I mean, it's just in my bank account, and guess what? They may use the money to triple it in their own favor. I don't fucking care. I apologize for swearing again. I swear again. I promise you, no matter what, I never swear again. I swore again, and guess what? Because I swore, I apologize. And that way, I love you anyway. Otherwise, I never swear at you. I just swear overall, and I never swear overall ever again. And that way, I understand. I have to go back on my swearing. I have to become better. And I'm just explaining some nice, beautiful... I realize I'm explaining some beautiful criteria here in order so you can see how I go with it. You have to understand that since I now use the government's money, I leverage this 2,700 bucks and I move along. I move around Australia with it, and while I move around Australia, they can never keep me in one area. And that means I have more time. and I'll be receiving more money from the government while I build up this nice portfolio of free money they're giving me to make sure that I never be in one spot. Realize that as soon as they give me more money, and the longer the coronavirus outside of me goes for, I mean, the longer they're going to give me some $1,200 a fortnight. Otherwise, without the coronavirus, they may give me $600 a fortnight. Whereas they doubled it. So thank you very much. Whereas now, I am a person who has far more, and that way, I leverage my life. I realize, although, that imagine I had no courses. I'm rich about. Imagine I had no courses and I was homeless, and they gave me $1,200 a week. I mean, what the fuck do I have? I apologize. I never say what the fuck. I never say what the fuck. I never ask that question, what the fuck. I realize that you never swear in your questions, because when you swear in your questions, you become rude and you become the swear words. I never swear words. I never swear words. I have to realize, Danny, you have to understand, you never swear in front of videos. You never swear in your videos, and you go back again and again and again. And you may be embarrassing yourself time and again, although learn from it, please. To learn from it, Danny, you have to be a person who understands you never swear. And that's how you understand. You go back on your words. You go back on the... you go back on your dictionary in terms of swearing. You understand? And you understand that now, here I am again. I'll start refresh. I have to realize I speak really fast, so it just comes really naturally and fast, these swear words. And guess what? I have no swear words anymore, although I understand. I keep going. And now I leverage the money, although imagine I had no courses now. I have no courses. I mean, what's the money going to do for me? I mean, I'd be hopeless. I'd be a person with just the money. I may have $2,700, although I've got no courses and I've taught you nothing. And I may have a poor image. I mean, I have no 9-to-5 job. I have nothing to give you. I have no Instagram. I have no photos of myself. I have no family. And here I am on the street. I'm doing better on the street. Although, for example, you'll see me on the street and I have nothing to give you. I mean, you'll understand that is broke mentality. I realize, what is broke mentality? I realize that broke mentality is really, you've done nothing to contribute and you're receiving money from the government and you're relying on the government for handouts so they understand that you're doing nothing. I mean, you're never making even common sense about your life, and you believe it's the best way because you're unaware of what you're doing, and you're arrogant, and you're giving the money towards drugs because you're not giving anything, and that means you're dying. And because you're dying, I see you on the street. You understand? And guess what I'm doing? I've got 300 hours of courses, and I have $2,700. You can see the difference now. I promise you though, that no matter, I realize I don't care how much Bitcoin, and I don't care how much Bitcoin you have. I don't care the amount, and I don't care in terms of no amounts. I care about something greater than amounts. I have amounts greater than I realize that I just have to repeat every single word so I understand. I realize that the amount of money that you have is never correlated with what you're worth. I need to understand that the amount of money that's really worth it is how much more attention do you have and how much better than yesterday are you. I mean, I have something to give you, and I have this structure of 300 hours of wisdom in videos, and then I realize I have 2 years of journaling in wisdom, and then I have over 23,000 quotes in wisdom, and I've got something to give you. And I'm not on the street, and I've been traveling. And guess what? You can understand though, you can see what I'll do with the money. I'll make sure I get the money and I grow with it. Although you, in the future, will have Bitcoin here, and you'll have blockchain and all this. You have to understand, it's never the way to go. And as I described, the better way, which is have no regrets and stay away from the stock market, because you need the courses. And here I am. Show up in your life to show you that whatever's happening around you right now is that economic system is destroying you unless it's a free world and you're going into the supermarket today to grab something for free from the supermarket to eat for free, and there's no price tags. I mean, as soon as this world has no price tags on its possessions, I promise you, we are free. And if that's not the case, you're controlled by the government still. You should understand, because you're controlled by the government in that aspect, and we're going with that, you understand that in that aspect, you do 300 hours of videos and courses and journaling and do what I've said, and make sure no matter what, that when I say you must work 15 hours a week, I mean, keep moving around your country. You understand that I now see what's going on in terms of the stock market and social security on all of this. Because what's happening is, I see it now and I got the idea. And the idea is that the world's shifting into cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency will never give you a social pension. And cryptocurrency will never give you social security. And cryptocurrency will never give you a pension either. And cryptocurrency will never give you Medicare. I realize cryptocurrency will never give you Centrelink benefits in Australia and any government allowance anymore. I see the change. And now, over the next 20 years, I realize it's really draining in terms of the pensions of Australia and the government systems, in terms of giving allowance, are draining people of money and everything in terms of life, although you are the only one draining yourself or lifting yourself. You have to realize now that since I see it now, what's going on, because I have the gesture now, that I see that the government and the world outside of me is shifting into Bitcoin currencies and cryptocurrencies. And now what's going to happen is more people are going to make more coins, and they're going to start racing these coins, and they're going to start showing you that once you get our coins, you will also win prizes, and you'll win the lotto ticket, and you'll win this meat tray, and you'll win all these bingo cards. And guess what? They're going to try putting all these advertisements on all these coins, and they're going to race them together because it's a competition between the coins. And it's a currency. And the currency, I promise you, the currency can be anything. You can make your own currency, and you can race it. And guess what? Then you have to advertise it. And then you have to build this company around this Bitcoin and this cryptocurrency. And then guess what? You are in competition with other people, and that's never the way to go. You're going to be lost in the chase of your own currency, because the real currency in life is the free currency. And the free currency means no stock market exchange. And there's no such thing as stock market, and there's no such thing as cryptocurrency. And there's no such thing as relying on other people and a coin and anything else to help you. You understand? So you understand now that in the year 2027, they've said that Medicare will be finished and pensions will be done and Social Security will be done. So I'm in the year 2020 now. I'm inside number one only. I'm never 2020, I'm one. I'm number one. That's understand. One is the biggest number. And because I have 7 years, I realize I have another beautiful gesture where I can write 7 years. I have 7 years to use the government pension over here. You understand? Because in 7 years' time, I'm already a superstar. So you understand? So realize no matter what, I have a time and date. I have a time and date to go by. And let it be. You have to understand now, in your aspect of life and where you're living now, I'm rich or better, you understand that now, since you have no social security and you have no pensions and you have no government allowance, and now you have to work for it. I mean, you have to work the 9 to 5 job and the money, and you never work for the money. You have to understand, you're never working for the money, you're working for something greater, and now they're going to make you work. I mean, I'm more than smart enough to stay away from the 9 to 5 job. I promise you, although, that you understand Jesus I promise you Jesus would say in your language, I promise you Jesus would say, you stay away from 9 to 5. I don't care what you're doing. You stay away from it as much as you can. I promise you that you can see what I'm doing here. I'm staying away from 9 to 5. Although in my time now, in 2020, you'll understand that most people around me are working a 9 to 5 job and never staying away from it. And here I am on the government allowance and using their money to never work for a paycheck and to never get scammed by the government and their printed money, so I can use their money and keep traveling Australia, to keep seeing Australia, and to keep giving you performances and give you this content so I can keep going. And I'm doing this on my own, and I'm not asking anybody in terms of life anything that doesn't make common sense. So that way you understand that I'm in this alone, and I give you this information the first time here, and I've told nobody else about this. So you understand that I never tell anything, I show people what I do. And since I've stayed away from the 9 to 5 job, you understand I'm more successful than my peers. I'm more successful than the people in the crowd. I'm more successful than most of the people on the planet. Why? Because I give you more courses, period. I give you more information, period. And because I give you more information, period, you understand I'm better than yesterday, and that's why I'm more successful. And it's never because of the money, and it's never because of the government allowance. You understand what's important in life? You need to go that way. You need to go that way quickly. And it's going to take you 6 years. And you should write that down. And you should realize that it's going to give you the time and aspect. You'll realize that within 6 years, I changed my life around. I started reading for the first time at 22. I then continued to read for the first 3 years, 1 hour a day. I then need you to realize that you need to read faster than ever. You need to realize you need to do videos faster than ever. You need to do street performance right away. I need you to public speak and give content right away on the street. I need you to build attention, because that's the fastest road. I should understand the fastest road is be better than yesterday. I should realize that's the only road. I realize there's no other road. I should realize it's never about the real estate, because what they're going to do with real estate is they're going to screw them too. I promise you they're all screwed right now. I promise you Grant Cardone has 8,000 units, and I promise you that there's more people in real estate. I never blame Grant Cardone. I realize that I'm a person who respects Grant Cardone, and I realize that I'm his mentor, and I realize that the guy never watches me, although I'm his mentor. You understand that I'm just that type of person. I realize that although he mentors me, and I watch him, and I love to watch him because he has this, I realize that it's never about the cigar. I realize that I'm not a junkie, I'm not a drug addict. I realize that he's just got this persona and attitude where he just shows up all the time, and I love it. And he teaches me a lot in terms of ideas. And because I learn from him for free, and I'll never give him money to learn from him. Although I would support him. I'd support him with wisdom. I'd support him with ideas. I'll give him all the ideas. I'll just never give him money. I don't care. You understand? That I'll never give anybody else money. I'll just give them wisdom. When they ask for donations on the street or anywhere in terms of life, in terms of TV, and they're asking for donations because of non-human animals and the kids in Africa and all this, I promise you they're trying to scam you. You never give them the money. You never give them the money because you give them the wisdom, and that's it. I promise you that you need to feed the poor. You feed the poor with self-education, and that's it. And now I'm rich or better, and since they have all this real estate, you understand that what's going to happen is they're going to shift into the Bitcoin currency. And then because they shift into the Bitcoin currency, all of their real estate relies on the stock market. And what's going to happen is going to be big. I promise you, this stock market crash is going to be big. I can see it coming. I can see this stock market crash. And it's a slow progress. I promise you, it's a slow one, and it's creeping up on people right now. I realize that most people never see it coming. I realize what's going to happen, and I'll never predict anything. I realize there's nothing to predict. I can see it. I can see it. You understand? I realize what's going to happen is the stock market crashes. And since all of life is working for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because what they're going to do is they're going to tax you on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and Bitcoin mining is going to be a big thing. And you understand that they're going to say Bitcoin mining is going to help you, and they're going to tax you on the Bitcoin mining that you're doing, and you're going to work for certain coins, and then you have to invest those coins, and there's not going to be any more plastic paper. Do you understand? Because now it's online, and everything in terms of banks and money is going to be online, and that's it. You're just going to shine your phone, and that's it. And then what's going to happen is those cryptocurrencies are going to, let's say, accumulate, and there's only going to be certain amounts of those cryptocurrencies in the world. And for example, Bitcoin has 25 million going around and whatever, and they're always going to be in there. And guess what now? I mean, the real estate money and how people get paychecks. I realize that I never work for paychecks, although people are going to be working over time. And guess what? Over time, also that robots are going to be made more. Whereas more robots are going to be made, which is a nice, beautiful ideal. We need more robots. I, although, love the idea that robots will replace people in a 9-to-5 job. I support that 100%. I love that because I never need you in a 9-to-5 job. I love that. And that's a slow process. And you can see it happening today in the warehousing where robots, like a robot will pick up the box and will put it here because the robot can do it. And there's no need for a person to do it. And for example, electronic cars, you can see what's happening around in 2020 now, that the electronic cars are going to drive on their own. And you never even have to drive anymore. Well, that's amazing. I love that. I love that. I'm not sure better. I love the idea of that. That's an electric car, although you have to charge it. You have to charge it. And in order for you to get an electric car, you have to be able to be in one spot to charge that. I don't know where you're going to charge it because you have to charge it somewhere. And as you're traveling, I suggest you never have a Nikola Tesla or electronic car ever in your life. I'll never ever invest in that one in my life because it's the same thing as a petrol car. You never invest fully outright into anything. You never put all the money into it. Just invest partly. Invest partly in everything. That's better. I invest into cars to just rent it. I only rent cars. I only rent planes. I only rent everything. I never buy the jet. I rent the jet. I rent everything. I never buy the suit. I rent the suit for one night and that's it. Actually, that's more enough. You just need the experience of being in a suit for once and that's it. You just give them $50 and that's it. You just be a person who understands that $50 is going to be maybe 50 electrotonics or something in terms of the cryptocurrency. I mean, one Bitcoin, I mean, you're going to probably give $50 in Bitcoins. You understand? So you're going to realize that most people are going to start shifting into this Bitcoin mining and they're going to work the 9-to-5 job. And over time, it's slowly going to progress where more people are going to get away from the 9-to-5 job while they are also going to realize that it's a beautiful choice and I love that. Although you understand that the real estate that's accumulated and all of them working for this Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and then the stock market all of a sudden, bam, crashes. And guess what? How about all of those people who had real estate? Realize they have rents and all that. That is all crypto made now. And where they're holding their money? Or else they're never holding it in the banks anymore. Or else the banks can tumble down right now. Or else the banks are all going to disappear. I mean, Commonwealth Bank is going to disappear. I mean, ANZ Bank in Australia is going to disappear. I mean, all the banks of the world are collapsing now. I mean, they're finished and it's a setup. It's a setup. They're going out of money because what they're doing is they're dumping the money into the stock market. And who is the stock market designed for? I realize that it's designed for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. And because of this, who owns the stock market? I said the Rothschilds own the stock market. And you understand now that say a person who has real estate has all his money in the stock market, because where else are you going to hold your money other than the stock market? Where are you going to hold your money? I mean, you guys are going to be working 9 to 5, and I have no sympathy for you. I've shown you the way. Although you understand that once you're working, you're never working for the cryptocurrency. You're working for something greater. You're working for leadership. You're working for being better than yesterday. And you're working for the courses, because that's going to help you to get up and get the attention. And that's where you need to go. You never go the stock market way. You go the attention way and being better than yesterday and personal growth, because that's the number one way to live. And the number two way is the alternative, which is the stock market, and you're waiting for the stock market to go up. And then guess what? It goes bust and you lose half of your real estate. I mean, you have 50 billion in real estate and you lost half of it. You lost half of it. You understand? And what are you going to do now? You can lose you can lose everything in the stock market, because guess what? When the stock market goes down and crashes, you have to realize that people have no money to give you anymore. Although they've got no money to give you for the real estate and for the rents. And when you're accumulating all this real estate, such as Grant Cardone's, there's a guy's trying to go for 40,000 units. Whereas when the stock market crash happens again, and all the money this time is in the stock market, and people start going out of the 9-to-5 job, and guess what? The rich are getting richer, while the poor are getting poorer. You understand? Because guess what? It's never about working for the money anymore. I realize that whoever owns the system of the stock market is getting richer, and the rich are designed to get richer, while the poor get poorer, because that's the stock market and the economic system of the world. Unless there is no stock market anymore, which I suggest, and that way, whoever does that and whoever says that is going to get killed. Although you understand, I said that. Although I'm never getting killed. I'm never getting killed. I don't care. And they can kill me. I don't care. You understand that? You understand where I'm coming from. And guess what? You understand that people are just going to be bankrupt. People are going to be bankrupt, and people are going to rely on other people to give them money for a long time. And definitely in my lifetime. And I realize I'm not sure of anything. I can see it happening in my lifetime. And people are going to rely on other people to make money for them. And people are going to rely on other people to give them money. I never fucking rely on anybody. Otherwise, I apologize for swearing again. I apologize for the fucking word. Otherwise, it's never about swearing, and it's never about doing all that. Otherwise, that when I swear, I apologize because I love you. Otherwise, now, since I've done that, I say, Danny, you're swearing again. Although, you understand, you've done that 4 times now. I now will go and continue. Although, you understand that I never rely on people to give me money. I just never rely. I never rely on the government, because I understand that money is bullshit. Do you understand? I understand money is bullshit. I understand that in Jesus' times, I understand Jesus will never ever work for money. I say money is bullshit. You never go the way of the money and the economics of life. I realize that whatever they're saying about economics, you can run away from it. The best way to understand economics is run away from it. The best way to understand the system of the government is run away from it. Because your only system in life is Jesus' system and the Bible of the 10. Your only system is the Bible or the 10 Commandments, which is the ultimate system. And it's the freedom system that's going to work. As long as money is running this world, and as long as the stock market is here, I promise you many people are going to get screwed, and the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer because of the stock market. And as soon as the stock market is gone from this world, I promise you that's going to mean that we, as a human nation and human world, as a human beings, are going to be free from disaster, and no longer is the rich going to get richer and the poor going to get poorer. And now, that's the salvation, and that's happening in this time. I realize that's going to happen really soon. I realize that it all happens in the moment. And now what's going on is right now going to be a big salvation in the world. And now, at the moment, you understand that it's still getting to the point of salvation. I promise you that salvation is freedom. And that's when the world is one. And the world is one when there's no longer money in it, and when there's no longer stock market exchange in it. Understand? And now we've become the one currency, which is we're just giving our time. We're just giving our time now. I can see it happening now. Realize that you guys, well, we're living for the next 300 years. I don't know what's going to happen. Although you may see the stock market. You may see the stock market in your life now. Realize that you understand what's going to go. Yeah. You have to understand that stock market is just where you put all your money in, and you never put your money in there. I realize they're saying for you to do that. And then guess what? It crashes. And they're hoping that you put your money in there, and then the stock market goes up, and you make some money, and you pull out a bit, and then guess what? I promise you it crashes. I promise you they take all your money. I promise you, although you understand that it's really that they hope for you to put $10,000 million in it, and then you raise it up to 50 billion, and then you withdraw maybe $1 million. You withdraw 1 million to do something, and then guess what? All your 50 billion is gone. You understand? Because the new bank is the stock market now. I promise you, it's the stock market, it's the new bank. Well, the stock market is the new bank. And because of that, you understand now to live with no regrets. And I taught you how. I taught you, go and make your educational videos and go do street performance now. You go do street performance now for free, get the attention, and that's all the money in the world. You make friends, you make family in people. You do it with people. You give them free love. I came here to help you. I never came here to take your money. I never came here to charge you. I promise you that's free. I promise you that's a brother. I promise you that's a sister. I promise you that's family that does that. I'm a family member of everybody that's watching me. I'm your friend. I'm your ally. I'm helping you. And now, since you understand that what's going to happen is the stock market is going to crash, and people are all around the world, even today, they're losing jobs. And when they're losing jobs, they can never give money for the rent. And when they're never getting money for the rent, I promise you the real estate lords who own so much real estate have lost their real estate in terms of they've lost the money accumulated from that real estate. And now, where is their money gone? I promise you it's in the stock market. Now, have they lost the money in the stock market? I promise you they've lost the money in the stock market. I promise you it's gone. I promise you that their bitcoins are now I realize the bitcoins that are valuable at 1 million per bitcoin are now valued at 200,000. Where's the 800,000? Now their bitcoins that they were making in the real estate is now dropped to 200,000 value. And now they have to wait so long in order for them to make all this money again that they had in a billion for one Bitcoin. Because it went from 1 million, I'll say 1 million, for example. I may say 1 billion for one Bitcoin. Or else it went from 1 billion to 1 million. You have to realize, I'll just put it in nice realistic terms. Or else it went from 1 million for one Bitcoin value, I promise you went to 200,000. I promise you the 800,000 is gone, and you don't know where it's gone. I promise you someone absorbed it. I promise you someone took your money. I promise you someone make you weaker. I promise you they made you weaker in your independence. You understand? So now you can still live. You can still live, although they scammed you. I promise you the money's a scam. I promise you stay away from the money. You understand? Because the money, I promise you it's a game. I promise you the game of economics, you stay away from it. I promise you, whatever they're saying in economics, you stay away from it. You now will realize this, that it's never about the economics of the world. It's about the freedom. And what am I doing today? I'm doing freedom work. I'm ahead of the game. You can see me. You can see my face. I'm honest. I've got something to give you here. You understand now? I feel amazing. I'm a vegan. I'm going to live a long life. I don't care how much money I have. I realize it's never about the money. It's to be that person who says, I need 1 million safety net to be confident and to be someone. Well, that's stupid. You don't need $1 million to call yourself somebody. You don't need $10 million, and you don't need 10 billion, and you never need all the money in the world to feel something better. All you need to do is step up into attention and get famous today. Although, get famous by your inspiration only. And never go the way of Tupac, for example, where Tupac became famous, although the guy was in a fight with other gangs. I promise you, he made fame through drama. I never need you to make that type of fame. And you should understand, I promise you got shot while he was famous. Although, you understand, you never do that type of famous. And you should understand, you go the way of Jesus' path. You become famous, and let them kill you. I promise you that's the best way. I promise you there's nothing greater. Because when you're up there, and you're living life to the fullest, and they kill you for that, I promise you that you got something better. You understand? You go that way, you never be afraid. Although you understand that it's never really about the money anymore, whereas it's more about the attention now. You go the way of the attention. So first aspect of life is get health. And once you get health, get knowledge. And once you get knowledge, teach it. And once you teach it, become better than yesterday. And once you become better than yesterday, get the popularity and attention. Because now, since you're better than yesterday, you can inspire people to become better than yesterday. And that's a 5-step system. Understand? I mean, it's really one step. It's just become better than yesterday. I just simplified it. Let's understand. Everything that's simplified in life, you do it by one. I mean, there's only one step ever in life. And you just become better than yesterday. And never rely on money to solve your problems. I don't care about the $2,700. I realize that's chump change. I realize it's nothing. Although it's something. I realize it's something. I realize it's nothing to somebody else. I realize that I'm rich because I'm better than yesterday, and it's never because of the money. I don't care about the money. I care about being better than yesterday. I care about giving you knowledge because that's my passion. You have to understand that it's never about the money. I don't care about the $1 trillion either. I don't care because $1 trillion is nothing. I don't care about the money. I realize that by the time you make $1 trillion, I promise you somebody's going to scam you with it. I promise you, although that I care about being better than yesterday. I care about money for free. I realize that I care about the $1 trillion and everything in terms of money when I'm receiving it for free. I never care about money when I never receive it for free. I care about the money I have because I received it for free. I never work for it. And if I have to work for it, I'll make sure that it goes into the best places. Because that's my time. Because when you're giving your time for money and you waste it on pokies machines and poker, and you're wasting and gambling on alcohol and drugs and sex, you're wasting your life. I mean, you work 10 hours to make $300 and you went and had sex with one beautiful woman with $300. And you wasted 10 hours of your life? I mean, is that worth the pleasure for 20-minute fuck? Realize, you man up today, you woman up today. You guys have to man up and woman up. You guys have to understand, you have to woman up and man up. You have to understand, you just have to person up today. You have to be a better person. You have to realize you have to go do something today. You have to realize that even those people who have the real estate may live, they may live still and still accumulate rent. Although, guess what? Over the next 5 months, or 6 months, or 7 months, or 8 months, or even 1 year, or maybe 2 years of the economic crisis before people start to get into the jobs again, because they have no rents, or they have to live on what they have. And what do they have? Or should they may have the Bitcoin, or something like that. They can live life, although they got scammed. Anybody who's in the stock market is going to get scammed. I promise you, never be scammed if you're doing free work with Jesus Christ. I promise you, I do free work with Jesus Christ here. I do free for work. I never price this. I give the money for it. I promise you, I get the money for free anyway. I give $17 a month to have a storage online, although I get the money from the government. I'm doing it for free. I'm living life for free, and that's the whole point. And when you're living life for free, you'll be better than yesterday, because that's the ultimate way to live. To live better than yesterday. I promise you, that's all you have. I promise you, the best way to live is live fully. And to live fully is to be better than yesterday, and fuck the money. Otherwise, I apologize for the swearing. Yeah. I apologize for the swearing. I really apologize for the swearing. Otherwise, I never have to swear, Danny. I don't know why you swear. Otherwise, that I see that you just have to be better than yesterday, and you never care about the money. Because the money is freely given. I mean, you never care about the money when you have to work for it. I mean, when you receive it freely, I promise you it's a blessing. I mean, they printed it anyway. I promise you're never even going to print money anymore. I promise you're going to stop printing money too. I promise you're going to stop printing money, and once they stop printing money, I promise you the bank collapses. I promise you the banks are dumping the money into the stock market. And who are the banks working for? I promise you they're working for the Rothschilds. I promise you the Rothschilds own the banks of the world, except China. I promise you China's something else. I promise you China is they're their own economic system. And you have to understand that Rothschilds is trying to buy them out and trying to grab that bank to make them into. I realize that Rothschilds is trying to make them fall into the bond market, which is the stock market. And you have to understand that China's saying no. And because of this, World War III is going to start. I see it. I see it happening in this lifetime. I see it happening over the next 73 years. I promise you that it's going to happen. I can see it. I can see it happening. So you have to understand that the next economic crash is going to be even bigger. And you have to understand it's a test. You have to understand it's a test to see who from the people in the world can rise above this. And I'm one of them. I can rise above it. I stay consistent on the street. I build the attention, and I have a nice, beautiful life. I'm better than yesterday. And then guess what? Once I rise so above, in terms of status, I promise you that's where they see me. And then they see me leading the world, and that's where they can kill me. Or they can kill me from that point. I don't care anymore. I see Jesus' lifestyle. I let them kill me. I let them kill me. I don't know what's going to happen. I see myself much better. I don't care. I may get shot. I don't care. I promise you Jesus says so. You may get shot. I promise you Jesus says so. I can see it. Although you understand that I'm such a leader today that if I get shot, I don't fucking care. I apologize. I swear again. I swear again. I apologize. I'm never going to cry. Although you understand. I have to better my life. I have to understand. You're swearing. I don't know why you're swearing. I don't know why you're swearing. You don't swear, Danny. You go backwards. In a way that you never go backwards, you just never swearing. I never have to swear. You just own up to it, and that's it. Whereas I have to speak with myself like this to make sure I never swear. I practice this way to make sure I can do better. And that way you understand that since they see me in the spotlight now, whereas I'm on my own. Although you understand, I'm living the lifestyle. I promise you, if I get shot and killed, and if I die because of somebody who killed me, I promise you, I lived the lifestyle. I lived it, and I'm still living. I'm still living the lifestyle, and I'm never dying. I'm never gonna die. I promise you, there is no death. I promise you, I don't believe in death. I don't believe that I'll die. I believe I'll live on. I mean, that's an optimistic mindset, and you need that more in life. I although now have a better clue about how the world and social security and pensions and all this is going to go. And I see the world is set up, I promise you the world is set up in economics. I promise you, although that Robert Kiyosaki and Grant Cardone taught me a lot about financial aspects of life. And without them, I promise you I'd never be able to even give you this video. I promise you they taught me so much about investments in the stock market and what it's all about. I promise you they taught me so much about real estate too. I just go dive in and I give you the information now. I realize I stay away from real estate because of what's going to happen in the future. I promise you that anything that's a money game, such as real estate, and anything that's a money game and where there's money involved, I stay away from it. I mean clothing. I mean clothing businesses. I mean possession businesses. I mean Amazon's going down. You have to understand, Amazon's finished. I mean anything that's a business driven on selling possessions for money and clothing shops and 9 to 5 work where it's warehousing, and also 9 to 5 work in any domain, because it's a money game. They all failed. They're all down. They're all finished. Amazon, which is a big empire in terms of money, which is really a small empire. I realize it's small compared to the Rothschilds. I mean, that Jeff Bezos is an ant compared to that guy. That he's getting set up to die. He may be something now in 2020, and in the next 73 years he may have the lifestyle, and that's going to be his lifestyle. Although you understand that his company is going down and it's finished, and it's because of what's going to happen, and all the cryptocurrency is going to happen, and then the stock market crash, and Amazon is wiped out 70% of the time. And then guess what? Amazon is no longer worth $200 billion. Approaching now they're worth $30 billion. Do you understand? And how long is it going to take for the stock market to go and rise above 200 billion now in terms of Amazon? You understand? That they say that the stock market rises 11% every single year. So in order for that to happen, I realize it's going to take some time in order for that 30 billion to turn into over 200 billion over the long term. And then guess what? Once that happens, I promise you the next 10 years, I promise you it drops again. I promise you every single 10 years, they say around every single 10 years, a stock market crash happens. I mean, I'll experience the next 7. And so I experienced my first one now. I experienced the stock market crash before, although I didn't know. I still don't know anything. I still don't know. Although you understand that I experienced 2 market crashes before this as well. I experienced the 2001 and 2008 and something like that. I experienced 2 before this. I experienced 3 now. I realized that no matter what, I'm rich or better. Although you understand that I have to go and I have to almost go. I realize no matter what, you guys just realize that in this video, I've explained some criteria where you understand that now, since all these companies that are money business wise, eventually they're going to crash and they're going to die and they're finished. And now you guys understand that I have to go get some food, otherwise I've got no food. I realize I almost have to realize I have to go get food. And that way, I have 15 minutes to get to the Woolworths. And I realize that now, since the stock market is that way, I realize now you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next video.